WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, this is Joel Johnson. I want to invite you to come to a special event with myself and Kara Sunland. It's called Beyond Better Money. We're going to talk about the retirement concerns that you have, living too long, healthcare costs. Join us September 18th at 6 p.m. at the Sheraton Hotel in Rocky Hill. Go to beyondbettermoney.com to register. That's beyondbettermoney.com to come to meet with me and Kara Sunland.
Johnson Brunetti is a marketing name for the businesses of JB Capital and JN Financial. Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital, LLC. Insurance products offered through JN Financial, LLC.
If you enjoy all beef hot dogs and have never tried Hummel's All Beef, you really should. Hummel's All Beef is made with the quality you'd expect from Hummel's. The finest cuts of beef, all natural spices, and unlike national brands that use liquid smoke flavoring, Hummel's All Beef hot dogs are smoked with real hickory wood, and you can taste the difference. So look for Hummel's All Beef Franks in the meat department of your local supermarket, and remember, all Hummel products are gluten-free and always represent the very best in quality. I'm Eric Hummel, and I personally guarantee it.
Did you know that
1 minute.
customers would recommend AAA insurance to a friend? 9 out of 10? 9 out of 10 people don't even love their birthday. Yeah, their own birthday. The one occasion where eating cake at any time of day is not only accepted, it's actively encouraged. Wait, does that mean people like us more than cake? Legendary service and superior coverage from AAA Insurance. Something 9 out of 10 of our customers would recommend. Find out why at AAA.com/insurance and get a quote. Based on a 2023 customer survey. Insurance provided by CSAA Insurance Exchange.
Morning, people wake up for peace and quiet. McDonald's breakfast people, we wake up for the sweet rush of getting that warm, delicious breakfast right before.
All right, I got Justin. He just
get
texted.
a head start on your morning with
he just texted you. Intent.
like caramel, black or classic for just $1.29 during breakfast hours only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You're listening to Reese on the Radio, filling in today for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
What are some of the things or trends that surprised you about some of those conversations?
Well, I don't know if it was surprising, but it was certainly eye-opening to hear so many people, even people of color and women, saying that they are going to support Donald Trump. I'm not quite sure that the polls are accurate as it relates to the tightening of the polls and who's going to support whom.
What did they think about Harris? Did they have anything to say about her?
They did have, listen, it depends on where you are. We went to a number of different battleground states in Pennsylvania, Ohio. We were in Michigan, Indiana, on our way, obviously, Illinois, on our way to Chicago. And it sort of depended on where you were. Pennsylvania, well, I shouldn't say Pennsylvania, I should say Philadelphia, was a bit more liberal, and the answers to the questions about her and him were quite different. But for the most part, in Pittsburgh or in the Jersey Shore and in Atlantic City, in Ohio especially, many people did not know who she was.
What? Yeah. They don't know who she is. She's Kamala Harris. I thought she was the most popular Democrat in the world, if not the universe. You know what time it is. It's time for Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC. How in the world can Don Lemon say such a thing like that? He went to Ohio, to Michigan, to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia in particular. Philadelphia, asking people who's Kamala Harris, and they didn't know who she was. Well, how can the polling data suggest that everybody knows who she is? Oh, come on. Something's rotten in Denmark, folks. Come on. Does anybody want to believe the guy yet? Does anybody want to believe me yet? Even a little bit? Even a little bit? This isn't some blind man getting lucky here and there. At what point, not that I need to brag about this, okay? I don't need to brag about this. But when I'm listening to all of this nonsense on television, when I'm hearing it on the radio, where people are literally exhausted about the poll numbers. She's gaining ground. Donald Trump may have some trouble come November. It could be possible that Democrats could take the whole thing. They could totally ignore the last 4 years and just elect Kamala Harris just on the sheer fact that she's African American, allegedly, and Indian and woman. It's quite possible. And Don Lemon says, people don't know her. What? Of course they don't know her. I ran a very unscientific survey today with my wife. Roseanne, you know her. I just threw some names out at her. I said, who was Ronald Reagan's vice president? She says, oh, wow, I have no idea why I don't know that. I said, well, he was president. She couldn't figure it out. I went, Herbert Walker Bush. Oh, right. Yeah. Holy crap. I totally forgot about that. I said, who's Bob? Who was Dan Quayle? She said, oh, that was Herbert Walker Bush's vice president. I said, that's interesting. You knew who Quayle was, but didn't know who Herbert Walker Bush was president. But why do you know Dan Quayle? She knew him because of the potato incident. See how that works? He had something that was infamous. He never ran for president. She couldn't remember. Well, it took her a minute to remember that Joe Biden was even Barack Obama's vice president. Took her a minute. Couldn't remember Bill Clinton's vice president. She got upset, that guy, with the global warming thing. No one knows who the vice president is. Kamala Harris can be talked about ad nauseum on television all day. The political sphere of our television or our news media knows who all the players are. And if you watch those and if you listen to talk radio, you know exactly who all the players are. If you know who Steny Hoyer is, you know who Kamala Harris is. Do you understand that? If you know who Debbie Dingle is, you know who Kamala Harris is. If you know who Clay Higgins is, you know who Kamala Harris is. That's how involved you are. You see how I can spit off a name from anywhere because I watch this all day, every day. I'm still trying to remember that it's John Kennedy and not Joe Kennedy, senator from Louisiana. And that's because I don't want him to be John Kennedy. I hate calling him John Kennedy because, I feel like I'm sullying his good name. Not JFK. John Kennedy is senator of Louisiana. I love him. But nobody knows who Kamala Harris is. Not like that. She's not iconic. And I keep trying to look up these things like, name recognition. Name ID. These things are important in presidential elections. Do you know that Hillary Clinton's name in politics is larger, has more name ID than Donald Trump's? That sounds crazy, right? But it isn't. Donald Trump has been around for a long time, but Hillary is notorious. She just is. Hillary Clinton has a higher name ID than Donald Trump's. Now, Donald Trump's is at least in the 110s. Hillary's in the 150s. So when she's running for office, there isn't anyone on God's green earth that doesn't know who Hillary Clinton is. Kamala Harris does not have that kind of name ID. And it's not because she's black, and it's not because she has a difficult name to pronounce. She's not infamous. She just isn't. So when you hear these people talking about the polling numbers, which suggest that she's just renowned in all of these places, it's bull. Let me give you another example. Karl Rove. Karl Rove on Fox News today, this morning, talking about polling data this day in 2016 2020 versus today. Again, 2016, 2020 versus today. This is the position of the Democrat nominee at this time in those 3 time periods. Karl Rove.
The other point about polling, if possible, let's talk about that a little bit, because I think let's put this in perspective. On this day in 2020, Joe Biden was up 7.1% above Donald Trump in the Real Clear Politics average. And at this point in 2016, Hillary Clinton was up 6.3. And as you remember, the election came down to a handful of votes in a handful of states. And today in the Real Clear Politics average, Harris is up over Trump by 1.5 in the RCP average and 3.5 in the 538.com.
Do you understand that? Do you understand that? Hillary Clinton was at 6.3. She beat Donald Trump by over 3 million votes in the national poll. She did. She won the popular vote. But Donald Trump was able to ace her out strategically through the Electoral College. He didn't do so well, obviously, if we're to call it an election. But in 2020, Joe Biden was at 7.1 in the lead over Donald Trump, 81 to 75 million votes. Considerable lead. And he was able to beat him strategically, where in battleground states that were decided by the thousands of votes. Kamala Harris had 1.5 in the Real Clear average. Real Clear Politics poll today. Let's try to say that 5 times fast. That makes no sense. Karl Rove.
So this, she's ahead in both averages, but she's nowhere near ahead by the numbers that both Biden and Clinton were. And as we know, Clinton lost and Biden won by 42,000 votes in 3 states.
42,000 votes in 3 states, and at a 7-point national average lead. What are you telling me? Now, I was explaining to my wife, she goes, well, what's the purpose of all of this to point out that she's, so far up in the polls? It's called momentum. The objective is that you steal the momentum from the other side. One side will, and it could backfire. In some cases, you can get, Hillary Clinton is 6.3% higher than Donald Trump in the national polls. Oh, you know what? I could take the day off on Tuesday. I don't have to go down there. Hillary's got it in the bag. That's where it works against you. It could also turn around and say, whoa, Hillary Clinton's 6.3 in the lead. We got to get more people out there to vote for Donald Trump. Or the other way around. That's usually how that works. So again, it could be a gift, it could be a curse. But in this case, 1.5%. We have people running around talking about how Kamala Harris has got this in the bag already. But no one's paying attention to the fact that, and I give it to her, it's only been a couple of weeks. Kamala Harris hasn't had that much time to build in a momentum. Plus, she's also starting from a negative. What I mean by that is no one likes her. She had the lowest ratings of any vice president in history, and just a year ago, they wanted her off the ticket to save Joe Biden's bacon if he were to run for re-election. A year ago. No one thought about her as being the candidate a year ago, much less 6 months ago, when it pretty much appeared that Joe Biden shouldn't be the nominee. No one thought about her. So the fact that there is all of this faux momentum, clearly it's not going to be that considerable. And it isn't. Because it's not. It's bogus. So when Don Lemon says, hey, nobody even knows who she is, that's telling. No one knows who she is because they don't know who she is. She's a nobody politically. She's a vice president. And a vice president is pretty much absent. Zero sum. They affect nothing. It took Ronald Reagan to push Herbert Walker Bush over the top. Joe Biden's not doing that for Kamala Harris. He's so unpopular, that's meaningless. Let's go to Jim in Wellington before we take a break. Hey, Jim, you're on Reese on the Radio.
Hey, how you doing? I'm going to take an opposite tack.
Go for it.
People who the people who regularly watch MSNBC and other media like them, they know exactly who Kamala Harris is,
right?
And that's the biggest problem.
Right.
Because for 4 years, the people that Kamala Harris needs to vote for her, they heard exactly what the Democratic Party was saying about her,
right?
And the media.
That's right.
They heard it. Now she's got to get out there and explain, outside of the way she explains everything else in the last 3.5 years, that she in fact is somebody. She's another person. She's somebody else. And those people aren't buying it. They're not going to buy. I don't believe they're going to buy it in a minute. I just don't believe it.
It doesn't exist. But here's an interesting part, right? Now, remember, Joy Reid of MSNBC, you mentioned her, right? To prove my point that the news media knows for a fact that she doesn't have any real momentum, I'm going to play what Joy Reid said just after Kamala Harris got the endorsements of the Obamas and the Bidens. Remember, she doesn't need to say this if it was a natural progression, right? If it was so natural that Kamala Harris was, oh my God, the heir apparent. If it were so true, Joy Reid wouldn't have to say this to black supporters if the opposite weren't true. Listen closely.
Yeah.
I just got to say it. Given the just stratospheric entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris into the presidential campaign, and she has now secured enough delegates to become the nominee, you're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color.
Now, why would she say that if they were already in line?
Let me. Can I add something to that?
Sure.
You're right. There's no need. Every single time, if you want to, if they want to make it on the, I get it that they have to make this about gender and
race. About race, right?
Kamala Harris. I get all that, but at the end of the day, if you want to just talk about Black Americans or voters or other voters, I don't believe that they're buying any of it.
I don't
believe it.
Nor do. That's my whole point. It's like, remember, everyone's supposed to give the impression that this is happening organically. But you don't need a Joy Reid to put out a video that says you're going to look real awkward if you're not supporting her, because they knew they weren't supporting her in the first place. They had to bully them to do it.
Well, I'll wrap up my point with bringing up another point. Who is the person who put together this coalition of Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Yeah.
Trump.
That was Donald Trump.
Who was the person that defeated the first person that they coronated, the first female politician that they had already coronated before the vote was even passed? Who defeated her? That was Donald Trump.
That's right. And it's so funny? It's so funny that you say that, because under both circumstances, you do have to look at it. The coronation of Hillary Clinton came at the cheating of Bernie Sanders in 2016. Yes. Right? It came through some shenanigans through the DNC. And here again, we have Kamala Harris through another shenanigan being pulled by the DNC.
Well, I was going to end that point with exactly that. The DNC stopped Bernie Sanders twice.
Yep.
They robbed him twice.
That's right.
They robbed Biden. The DNC, through Hillary Clinton, was bought out and then used to frame Trump during his presidency for a bunch of things. We don't have to go into that right now.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, Kamala Harris earned nothing, not one vote. And there are Democrats out there that rubs them the wrong way, and I don't believe they're voting for her. I just don't believe it.
I agree with that too, especially when they're being told by their party that all of this is to save democracy, while democracy is being completely shredded. Shredded.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
One more short thing. If Bernie Sanders was running, I believe that he would, because of his name recognition and because of his, even though I can't stand the guy politically, if Bernie Sanders were running, I think you'd have a race here, a serious race.
I agree.
It's ironic if they shut him off twice. If they let him run the last time, he'd be running for re-election, I believe it.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Jim. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll go to Joe and George when we return. Stick around. We'll be back. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Isn't it time you thought about an estate plan for your family?
All right, you're clear.
Help prioritize and carry out personalized asset protection strategies. The law firm of Brown, Payne, Dearest & Scott has served the legal needs of individuals and their small businesses since 1977. Our experienced estate planning team is ready to help. With Brown, Payne, Dearest & Scott, you get more than a lawyer, you get a law firm. Visit us at bpslawyers.com. Simon Lebo approved this ad.
Get a head start to your day with WTIC News Talk 1080. Listen to us live on the Odyssey app before you even hit the road. Get the breakdown on the biggest news stories that Connecticut is talking about. To get started, download the Odyssey app and search for WTIC News Talk 1080.
I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi, I'm Kamiko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Inc. card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
With the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card, you can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for their participation. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. It is. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
And now, a WTIC News Update.
3:30, good afternoon. I'm John Silva. First day of school continuing this week for a number of districts. In Hartford, students were welcomed back by the group Calling All Brothers for the start of the new year. In Southbury, officials double-timed it to get the year off on the right foot in one of the town's hardest hit by last week's flooding. Man was wounded last night in a shooting in New Haven. They say police, a shot spotter activation brought them to an area of Fox and Boulevard. 20-year-old male victim with gunshot wounds treated for non-life-threatening injuries. The Israeli military has rescued one of the scores of hostages abducted during the October 7th attack by Hamas. Military says the 52-year-old was rescued in a complex operation in a tunnel in the southern Gaza Strip. Republican state lawmakers gathered at the Capitol today, among them Senator Ryan Fazio, delivering this message for constituents of any party unhappy with their electric rates.
We are urging everyone to go to specialsessionct.com.
Governor's been rejecting Republican calls for a meeting and or special session to address the issue that he says is about supply and demand, but is inviting Republicans to a meeting in the near future with the chairs and ranking members of the Energy and Technology Committee. And the Biden administration is offering federal resources to former President Trump and Vice President Harris for presidential transition planning for the first time, but experts say that both are already behind in preparing for their potential administrations. Both Harris and Trump started the process just this month, which is months later than prior transitions. WTIC News Time coming up on 3:32. Here is meteorologist Jason Catarina with the forecast.
For this afternoon, partly sunny and quite warm with the high up to 87. Remaining mainly clear, warm, and humid tonight. The low only dropping back to 69. For our Wednesday, rather cloudy. It'll be hot and humid. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon. There'll be a nice breeze out of the west-northwest. The high up to 90 for us. Then Thursday, notably cooler and less humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine. The high on Thursday dialed back to 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina in the WTIC Weather Center.
84 is the temperature in Hartford. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Fantasy freaks and geeks. What's cracking? It's your boy James Coe back with my brand new project, the Sleeper King Football Podcast. Look, I get it, okay? There's a lot of fantasy pods out there, but we're going to keep this one light, 15 to 20 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week. And man, we are going to pack it with all the info you need. Season long, weekly projections, and of course, sleepers. Follow and listen to the Sleeper King Football Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Our goal is to provide patients with the strongest, most effective, and safest options in this exciting field of regenerative medicine.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
The idea that you can avoid a joint replacement is very exciting.
And that's from a surgeon who's done thousands of joint replacements, but who now believes there's a better way.
Regenerative medicine, as we understand it today, gives lasting pain relief, improved function, without surgery, without drugs.
Under Dr. Scheinkup's leadership, QC Kinetics medical professionals treat patients every day with the most advanced protocols in natural biologics. Literally tens of thousands of people all over America.
I've been doing research on regenerative medicine for 2 decades. This is the future of medicine.
Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 860-440-PAIN. That's 860-440-PAIN. 860-440-PAIN.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-580-7766. 800-580-7766. That's 800-580-7766.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535. 800-511-3535 or biglou.com.
Men, though it really does.
Hold on a minute.
Practicing
Got it.
better medicine
Still
almost
got Joe
always
and
means
George?
better outcomes for patients. And if you suffer with a...
Yeah, they still there.
You certainly want a good outcome. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health. And because we do practice better medicine, we're the leader in treating men's sexual health issues in the Northeast. ED is a terrible condition. It causes stresses in relationships. It creates anxiety and undue hardships on a man and often on their partner as well. Yet many men suffer for years without seeking treatment. But I want to tell you today that you can be free of ED. Seriously, if you're like most men, the treatments we offer at Northeast Men's Health will work for you. In fact, fact, we have protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means you can likely enjoy great sex again without the stress that ED can create. You might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So call us. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes
Am I supposed to be uncomfortable when I hear this commercial?
A testos. And if that testos doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com. We have 5 offices across the Northeast to serve you.
What's up, everybody? You know who this is. It's Reese On The Radio, Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
And we are back on News Talk 1080 WTIC, kicking it live with some of the strangest music beds known to man, brought to you by.
It's that good stuff, man. You don't know who that is?
I don't really care. I know what the beat is, but
you know what the song is?
I don't know who. I know what the song is, but I don't know who the performer is of this.
The live band, man.
I know it's a live band. That much I gathered. Is it the Roots?
No.
Then it doesn't count. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I think I know. Is it that YouTube channel where those guys just play all of the music live?
Yeah.
They are great. I'm not going to lie. Their stuff is great. I actually watched like 2 hours worth of their stuff once. It's actually pretty good. I got to remind everybody what the link is or what the name of the group is.
It doesn't even say the name.
It doesn't say the name, right?
There's live OMA covers.
That's it. Yeah.
OMA is the name.
OMA, yeah. You got to find it on YouTube. But they're great. It's just great background music, and they play it live at the park or something like that. It's amazing stuff to watch. They've gotten really popular. Anyway, to the phones we go. We're talking about Kamala Harris and this, so-called, meteoric rise in the poll numbers when it comes to her. But Karl Rove, of course, brings everything back down to earth. With the average polling data where we were about a year ago. Several years ago, talking about 2020 and, of course, 2016. If we can, let's go back to that so I can get back to the phone calls. This was Karl Rove today.
The other point about polling, if possible, let's talk about that a little bit, because I think let's put this in perspective. On this day in 2020, Joe Biden was up 7.1% above Donald Trump in the Real Clear Politics average. And at this point in 2016, Hillary Clinton was up 6.3. And as you remember, the election came down to a handful of votes in a handful of states. And today in the Real Clear Politics average, Harris is up over Trump by 1.5 in the RCP average and 3.5 in the 538.com.
538.com has always been wrong, and the Real Clear Politics average is always correct. And again, these are the national polls. And people say, well, the polls don't mean anything because Hillary Clinton was up in the polls, but she lost. But those are national polls. And what did she win? She won the popular vote. So therefore, polls were indicative of what the nation was thinking. But again, Donald Trump was playing the short game, as you're supposed to. It's about the Electoral College. You play a much more strategic game. Hillary did not. She didn't think. She was arrogant. She didn't have to go to certain places. And she got her butt handed to her. That's how that works. To the phones we go. 860-522-WTIC. Joe is in New Hampshire. What's up, Wall Street Joe?
Hey, Reverend. I've got a big stock tip for the audience in a minute. But the couple of things I wanted to get through to you. You're talking about numbers with Hillary Clinton winning by 3 million votes, 3.1 million, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember back in 2016 in Detroit. Do you remember that big controversy after the election was over about one of the precincts in Detroit, and Donald Trump said, well, we won the election. We'll move on. We got to heal the country. Of course, we know what happened with his attitude to be nice to everybody, including Hillary.
Right.
Do you remember that Detroit debacle?
I don't. Why am I don't know why, as you're talking about it, it's escaping me, but I think I'm confusing it with 2020. I don't know why I'm forgetting the Detroit.
Yeah, 2020 is when they kicked the Republican observers
Right.
out, and they started counting the votes again, and all the trucks pulling in with ballot
Correct.
skids. That was in Pennsylvania.
What was the
also.
Detroit thing in 2016?
There was a precinct in Detroit. I guess it's the same in New York City.
Uh-huh.
They divide them into districts. I don't know if it was precinct 11 or 13.
Uh-huh.
And there was a possible, if you had a 100% turnout, there was about 111,000 eligible voters in this precinct to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the final count, Donald Trump got about 2,800, 3,000 votes, and Hillary Clinton got close to 120, 21,000. So what's wrong with those numbers?
Right. Okay. So yeah, in fact, we had something very similar in Georgia, as well as I'm almost certain in Pennsylvania. I think there was something along the lines of there aren't enough registered voters for the numbers that they were pulling in as far as vote tallies were concerned. Right.
Yeah, that's just one. Yeah, just one precinct in Detroit. And
Right.
It was about 11,500 more voters. The voter turnout was like 110%.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's
And they did
interesting.
nothing-
It's interesting you say that now because now you have so many states now working to eliminate people who are not eligible off the voter rolls. You got Virginia doing it with Glenn Youngkin, Georgia's doing it, and I think what's the other state? Who's the other state that's doing it now? There's one more state. I know Texas is doing it. Texas is actually getting people off the voter rolls.
Yeah, but they need to do it in about 5 or 6 others.
Oh,
which
no
isn't
doubt.
happening.
No doubt.
But that Detroit debacle, Trump decided not to have. He's president-elect, and he
Right.
decided let it go. We won anyway. It's kind of like in a basketball game. You win by 10,
Right.
and you can prove that the referee blew a call. You
Right.
should have gotten 2 more points. We won anyway. Let's move on. We
Yeah,
gotta
let's
deal
not be
with
sore
country.
winners, so to speak.
Yeah, what a big mistake that was. But that was just Detroit, one precinct, and it was like that in a lot of other places. Another thing I wanted to bring out, when Donald Trump with RFK on the stage, I watched the whole rally.
Yeah.
And when he pledged, he should have told RFK this in private, because Donald Trump just put a bigger target on his back, makes Pennsylvania look small. The people that want to keep the remaining Kennedy papers and information, confidential. Here it's been, over 60 years since the assassination.
I got
And
you.
The key paperwork is still being withheld from the public. Why?
Right.
Most of the people are dead that are involved, but the people that run the deep state are still doing things the same way as back in 1963. So when he pledged to Robert Kennedy on the stage and the crowd cheered, I am going to release all the remaining papers, from the assassination of JFK, he made a terrible mistake for his safety. What's your thought on that?
It's funny you say that. My view on that has been, one, I kind of agree with the first part of your statement, saying that all of the actors have passed on. However, the integrity of the CIA, which is really, kind of who we're talking about here, right? The integrity of the CIA is what's at question. So,
and the FBI.
Oh, well,
the
sure,
FBI.
the FBI, but the CIA, and I only say this because we know this to be true because of the last document dump. We know that the CIA received some $110,000 from the mafia so that they didn't have to account for it. Like that stuff we knew from actually Biden's release of documents, and I think we found that out about 2 years ago. That we found out that the CIA received that money from notorious gangsters in the mafia. So
yeah, were you aware that Lee Harvey Oswald, right up to the time of the assassination, from about 1960 to 63, he was getting a little over, and back then money was worth a lot more.
Sure.
He was getting a little more than $2,000 a month from the CIA just to be like a double agent.
Yeah, again, I agree with you in the sense of, yes, he does, I hate using the term target on his back. Yes, you have the deep state actors who will probably find a way we can't let this guy gets in office, he's going to release all of our secrets. But I think that kind of puts them on notice as well, because everyone at this point is looking for them to do something nefarious. So I kind of feel like they're over a barrel as well. But I get where you're coming from. Hold off on me. I want you to hold off on that stock tip for me until closer to the end of the show, because I got so much stuff I need to get into, Joe, and I want that tip near the end of the show. Only because
you want me to call back?
Yeah, please call back. Roland will will make sure that you get through. Okay?
Yeah, it's a slam dunk again. Thanks.
Okay, you got it, boss man. Let me go to George in St. Louis. He's been on hold for a while. Hey, George, how are you, sir?
Hi, Reese. I'd like to talk about polling data.
Go for it.
Okay, you have call blocker. I have call blocker.
Okay.
Probably the pollsters only there's probably 2 out of 5 that are blocked calls when they accumulate the data, the polling data. Reese, this is the same as you and I sitting down to a poker game.
Yeah.
And removing at random 20 cards from a 52 card deck.
Right.
The game has changed.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never get a flush or a straight or three of a kind because the information has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm making is you've got the fake media reporting fake polling data.
That's correct.
That's what it boils down.
And I agree
None
with
of
you.
that information's accurate.
I read the Rasmussen report, and they've been pushing back on this. In fact, most people have been ignoring them because they've been so accurate. And not Scott Rasmussen, the actual Rasmussen report. Scott Rasmussen left them years ago. But the Rasmussen report, every time I look at their polling data, they break down one thing. And they made something very evident at the beginning of when the polling data started for Kamala Harris. They were giving polling data at the beginning of the month and showing it up for the end of the month. They were doing their polling data every week, making sure it was fresh every week, while the polling data was being submitted by everyone from Harvard Ipsos, from NBC, from Washington Post. All of their data was from August 4th, August 5th, August 2nd. We were into like August 20th. And they were still doing polling data from that first week and resubmitting that data with changed numbers as if to suggest that this number was growing. And Rasmussen kept pointing that out and said, no, dude, all of our data is up to date. They're giving you a week-old sampling and calling that relevant. And as soon as I saw that, I started digging deeper into the numbers. The scary part about it was they were overcounting Democrats on every one of those polls.
Yeah. Reese, I'd like to talk about something else that I think is important for this election.
Only if it's brief. I'll give you a minute.
If you vote Harris in, we're probably very close to a nuclear war. I read about the history of the bomb. Anyway, that Ukraine-Russia exchange.
Yeah,
it's gonna accelerate. If Russia looks like they're losing ground against Ukraine, they're going to use the bomb, and it's not going to be against Ukraine.
Do you think tactical nukes are? Are you thinking tactical nukes?
I'm sorry.
Are you thinking tactical nukes? Okay.
No, it won't be tactical nukes. It'll be ICBMs. It'll be against us because we're the ones supplying Ukraine with the weaponry. And they are not using the bomb against Ukraine because the ash cloud would cover Russia.
20 seconds.
So we are very close to a nuclear war, and the people you vote for will depend on whether it comes to fruition or not.
Well, listen,
I'm serious about this.
I know you are. I gotta go to a break, but I'll respond to that after I come from the break, George. But I'll tell you why I kind of feel like you might be over your skis on this one, only slightly. And I'll bring up an old interview that I think will sort of illustrate what I mean by I don't think it's gotten that bad. I do believe that this could uptick in the event that Kamala Harris is the president of the United States, but I don't think we're going nuclear yet, but we'll get into that. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views when we return. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 100 you are clear.
That'll scare the hell out of him.
How many?
Nuclear war?
That sounds like, jeez.
New radiator. You kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Beyonce's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit
Hey, is Justin still there?
and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions.
Who?
Justin, is he right next to you?
Yeah.
Justin, please tell me you are related to Vincent.
Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again.
We aren't in college. There's no, he don't think so.
Weather matter. So help protect yourself from RSV.
That's my
if
boy.
You're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD.
He says no relation, man.
Your diabetes.
Oh, that
you're
sucks.
at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi, I'm Kamiko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Inc. card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
With the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card, you can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for their participation. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Getting quality
minute.
filled positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ziprecruiter.com/free.
This is Reese on the Radio, filling in for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080. Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
And we are back. And it's time to bring on our good friend, our paisano. You know, my Italian brother from another mother, Franken Woodbridge, is on the line. How we doing there, Frankie?
Good. You might be my black brother from another mother.
Absolutely, huh?
Could be.
And
Who knows? I don't know my family history. I talked about this last night, and I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. You want to call me white? You want to call me black? All I know is this.
I'm just going to call you Frankie.
Well, when I got $100 bills in my pocket, nobody asked me questions. That's the bottom line. My father told me that a long time. The color that matters, Frank, is green.
That's right.
They'll call you what they want. That's it. Nobody asks any questions. I never had a problem with anything. Well, now, when I did not have that money in my pocket, well, that's a different story.
I'll tell you one of the craziest things I ever heard back in the days. I think Burt Lancaster said it. And I always loved, I was a big old movie buff guy. You know, I love film noir and all that stuff. And I love the guys like, you know, Humphrey Bogart, Cary Grant. But Burt Lancaster, I didn't know a lot about him. And I never watched a lot of his films. But I watched an interview with him on Entertainment Tonight a long time ago. And I remember he said that when he was walking through the streets of New York, he and his friends used to walk around in 2-piece and 3-piece suits, looking like they were made of $1 million. He said there wasn't a nickel between the three of them, but they looked like the sharpest dressers and the most rich people in the world. And that was the way you had to carry yourself when you lived in New York. I think he was talking about Brooklyn. He said, you know, when you walk through Brooklyn, you had to look like you played the part. That's one of the most amazing things. I always thought that was important in New York.
Let me tell you, every time I talk to you on the radio, I bump into people. The next day I get a phone call, and they say this to me. Frank, if I didn't know you or Reese, I would swear you're the black guy and Reese is the white.
I get that a lot. Hey, you know what? My ex-wife, people said that about her and I all the time. I don't mind. Like I said, for me, it's a weird duality. It's like I'm gonna be who I am. I'm black,
yeah, but there's one thing though you will not admit on this radio station.
What's that?
I have admit 100 times.
What's that?
I've said there's nothing like a beautiful black woman. When are you going to say that?
What? Oh, you want me to say there's nothing like a beautiful black woman?
That's what
I love women. I think women are beautiful. I've never isolated them based on their color. But I will tell you this. I'll give you a couple of black women. Since you want to pressure me into this, let me say this. I love Gabrielle Union and Kelly Rowland, one of the girls from Destiny's Child. I think she's one of the most beautiful black women I've ever seen in my life. It's the biggest crush
not
on
one
that
of the
woman.
most beautiful black women, one of the most beautiful women ever.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted me to be race specific.
Well, you see, the thing is, always the label.
Gabrielle Union, no go.
So where I come from in Sicily, they don't care what color you are.
I know. I don't care either. I think Kelly Rowland is gorgeous. I have the hugest crush on her. I love her. The singer Maya, I've always thought that she was beautiful. I thought she was one of the most attractive women I've ever seen.
There you go.
I love Maya. I think she's gorgeous.
Maya's the greatest.
I did not want Biden to step down because I didn't want to hear the issue whether Kamala's black or not.
I know you didn't want to hear that. I know you didn't want to hear that at all.
I don't want to hear it because it's a waste of time. She's not. But even if she is, so what?
Yeah, I don't
doesn't
like.
matter.
Listen, at this particular point, what difference does it make to
It
take a
doesn't.
quote from Hillary Clinton?
It's 2024. Can we get past this in America? We're never going to be able to get past
That
this.
listen to me. It's they
ago.
need it, Frank. They just
I know.
need it. They need it. It's
I know,
for
they
them
do.
to exist. They need it. Anyway, but let me
Need it,
take a break. I got to get to the BPS Traffic Center. Always good to talk to you, my friend. Let's get to Mark Christopher, who's back from vacation. Was it vacation, Mark Christopher?
Well, took a day off.
You
yeah.
took a day off. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
We'll
to
call
pick
it a
my son up
vacation.
for camp. So.
All right. All right. I'll let you get to it.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Well, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. And if you are heading into Hartford right now on the westbound side of 84, you got delays in East Hartford approaching the Bulkley Bridge up to 48 Asylum. 84 eastbound, you got delays 46 into the tunnel. Southbound 91 delays 33 down to 32 A and B. Northbound 91 easy ride Cromwell up into Windsor. 291 384 no issues east of the river. 2 eastbound moving well Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound, you got delays 22 up to the Aragoni Bridge. A little slow again. 9 northbound up by exit 32 in Berlin. Waterbury's okay. 84 and 8. 84 eastbound, a little slow in Danbury. In Newtown by exit 11. Southbound Parkway slowing by 60 in Hamden. 95 south delays in New Haven, 48 down to 44. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
Experience relief from oral inflammation and infection at Columbia Dental. Led by Dr. Mohammadi, our practice operates 7 days a week with extended hours, dedicated to restoring peace and comfort to your smile. Visit ColumbiaDental.com.
WTIC weather.
Well, the rest of today, partly sunny
Right
and
back.
quite warm with that high up to 80. And there'll be a light breeze out of the west-southwest. Mainly clear tonight. It'll remain warm and humid with the low only dropping back to 69. Now rather cloudy, hot, and humid for our Wednesday. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm around in the afternoon. That high up to 90 for our Wednesday with a nice breeze out of the west-northwest. A shower in spots Wednesday evening, otherwise partly cloudy and mild, the low 62. Thursday, notably cooler and less humid, too, with a mix of clouds and sunshine. The high dialed back to 75 on Thursday. Then a beautiful day Friday to round out the week. We'll have a mix of clouds and sun, the high of 76. Plenty of clouds Saturday with a straight thunderstorm in the afternoon. A little milder, though, the high moving up to 79. Then Sunday, a humid day with a mix of clouds and sun, but a beautiful end of the weekend. The high of 85. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is 99 and kicks off a year-long celebration to 100 years on the air. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. Another of those who rioted at the U.S. Capitol complex on January 6th, 2021, will be spending the next few years in a prison cell. Michael Sparks of Kentucky is widely thought to be the first to enter the Capitol among the mob who participated in the violence that day.
This really was a landmark case because he was the first of the hundreds of rioters to enter the Capitol, the first one to face off with police, the first one ahead of the mob. But prosecutors argued successfully, getting nearly exactly the prison term they were seeking, is that Michael Sparks was the tip of the spear, emboldening others.
That's correspondent Scott McFarland outside the U.S. federal courthouse in Washington. Farmers in the western part of the state impacted by the flooding last week will have a chance to meet with state agriculture and USDA officials for a listening session on Wednesday. Those that incurred losses are still tallying up the damage. Joe Nichols, the executive director of the Connecticut Farm Bureau Association, is urging the farm community to turn out if they have any questions.
To really try to figure out what farmers were most impacted and who's going to need the help, and then, what federal programs or what funding is going to be available.
Nichols says it appears that any significant damage has been confined to western Connecticut, unlike last summer when widespread flooding rains left considerable damage and loss among those in the state's farm community. Opening week continues for school districts across our state today. In Hartford, students were treated to a rousing welcome back from the group calling All Brothers at Martin Luther King Jr. and Breakthrough Magnet School. It's been a trying time for the district due to a budget shortfall. Despite all that, Superintendent Leslie Torres Rodriguez says they are still hiring.
We have special education positions. We have speech and language therapy positions. We have math and science positions, 1 or 2 across schools.
In the meantime, in flood-ravaged Southbury, officials worked overtime to firm up bus routes and make sure classes started on time. Superintendent Joshua Smith.
Life is chaotic enough, especially for families who are dealing with all kinds of crises right now. It's important for us to give the community that consistency and that dependability on our schools.
Audio there from WFSB. As the summer winds down and schools get back into session, no surprise you'll see an uptick in traffic. Renewed sense of urgency often sees people stressing to reach destinations on time. But Stafford's school resource officer, Earl Middleton, says that drivers can't cut corners when it comes to safety.
We're all in a rush. We all fall behind. We're concerned with our phones and emails and phone calls and trying to get our kids together. But it really comes down to just giving yourself a little bit more time and being a little bit more patient.
Federal prosecutors are charging a Hartford man in connection with a scheme to defraud Amazon. Here's WTIC's Morgan Cunningham.
We're learning the indictment from earlier this month charges 44-year-old Terrell Kimball with 4 counts of wire fraud. It's alleged that Kimball used a company program at Amazon called Coupa to reward other employees for their work with items from Amazon at no cost to the employee receiving the product. Investigators say that Kimball, a regional fleet specialist and an area manager, placed at least 196 Coupa orders fraudulently and had the items sent to his mother's house for his own use. Those items include Apple AirPods Pro as well as Apple Watch devices. Each count of wire fraud carries up to 20 years in prison. Kimball's out on a $250,000 bond. Morgan Cunningham, WTIC 1080 News.
And the Trump and Harris presidential campaigns are talking up the economy. Correspondent Skylar Henry with more on the Republican message.
Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance rallied with voters in the battleground state of Michigan Tuesday.
Michigan is going red.
Vance focused on the economy and inflation.
You talk to a young person today, young people cannot afford to buy a home in their own country. We're turning a generation of 20 and 30-year-olds into permanent debtors.
Former President Trump also says the Harris campaign's not agreed to a proposed debate on Fox News on September 4th. Both sides say they may be open to a second debate in October. Closing Bell Report sponsored by Bouvier Insurance. Dow up 9 points, NASDAQ up 29, S&P up 8 points. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Dan owed an unbelievable the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-3...
In 10, right after the drop.
42840.
Tax relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to Reese on the Radio, filling in today for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Just 5 minutes after the hour here on News Talk 1080 WTIC. In this hour, we'll talk about the significance of Mark Zuckerberg's letter to Jim Jordan and how there are several things that this letter reveals about Facebook, Meta, COVID, Hunter Biden, the election in 2020. did indeed Mark Zuckerberg admit that his company interfered in the election in 2020? Well, the letter seems to suggest that, unbeknownst to Mark Zuckerberg, it did, to the tune of some $400 million. And we'll break all of that down. Plus, we'll have Alejandro Mayorkas, the secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, denying that the government played any role in censoring Americans' speech on social media platforms. Oh, and did you forget, we finally caught the FDA in a stone-cold lie. They lost the lawsuit, and we have one of the lawyers on tape that defended the FDA when they put out that tweet saying that you're not a horse and you're not a cow, don't take ivermectin. Yes, they violated their job by telling people what medication they can and cannot take. So we've got all of that coming up. And don't forget the 5 o'clock focus. The 5 o'clock focus actually is going to be an interesting one. So stay tuned for that. It's an article that happens to take place in a hotel that I got the opportunity to stay in. And many of you have visited in Avon. You probably haven't heard the story, but we're going to play it out for you. We are going to definitely play this one out for you. It's a really, really good 5 o'clock focus. Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Mark, did you stay in Avon did you stay at the hotel in Avon?
Avon Old Farms?
Yeah.
You know what? I've played many gigs there, but I've never stayed in the hotel itself. No.
Oh, you've DJ'd there.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of weddings there, but I've never stayed overnight.
You never stayed overnight? Okay, so I got the opportunity to stay overnight. That is a great
hotel. You're a big time.
All right, don't do that. Don't do that.
Big time personalities get to stay. Like me don't.
It was nice of them to let me stay.
No,
Nonetheless, but it's a beautiful place, right?
Yeah, and it's that part of it's a beautiful part of Connecticut too.
Well, wait until you hear today's 5 o'clock focus because it is about the Avon Old Farms Hotel.
All right, can't wait. Well, Reese, right now, if you're heading into Hartford right now, southbound 91, look for delays from exit 33 down to 32A and B. The northbound side of 91 moving well, Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 is running slow. East Hartford approaching the Bulkley Bridge up to 48 Asylum. 84 eastbound, type 46 up to 48 Capitol Avenue. 291 eastbound, slowing I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. If you're 384 eastbound, you're moving well from Manchester into Bolton. 2 eastbound's okay, Glastonbury into Marlboro. 9 northbound, slowing approaching Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. Westbound 84, some tight traffic 23 into the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound, a little tight moving up on exit 11 in Newtown. South 95 delays 46 to 44 in New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
All right, as we head through the rest of the afternoon, more sun than clouds. Quite warm, the high peaking in the upper 80s near 87. Mainly clear and humid tonight. Be a warm one, the low only down to 69 as we head through tomorrow. Rather hot and humid and rather cloudy. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high to 90. Tomorrow night is still a shower in spots during the evening, otherwise partly cloudy. We'll have the low down to 62, so a bit more comfortable. Cooler and less humid Thursday, much more comfortable. A mix of clouds and sunshine, the high of 75. Right now, let's see, Bridgeport at 78, Bristol at 85, and it is 84 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
What could be better than 2 of your favorites for $3.99? Like a McDouble, a McChicken, or a 6-piece McNuggets? Stop in for twice the delicious.
Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Start your day with all the latest sports information. Matt Soroyce has updates from the Cordell and Cordell Sports Desk at 15 and 45 past every hour. Only on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's time to clear the shelters. Since we started 10 years ago, NBC, Telemundo, and you have helped over 1 million pets find their forever families. Let's make our 10th year the biggest yet. Are you ready to find your new best friend? If you want to help but can't adopt, your donations can go a long way. Adopt or donate today. For more information, head to nbcconnecticut.com/cleartheshelters. Brought to you in part by WTIC News Talk 1080.
Did you know that 9 out of 10 customers would recommend AAA insurance to a friend? 9 out of 10 people don't even like baseball. And that's America's pastime. It has an entire Hall of Fame that people visit just because they love baseball that much. Does that mean we should have a Hall of Fame? You can't frame legendary service. Legendary service and superior coverage from AAA Insurance. Something 9 out of 10 of our customers would recommend. Find out why at AAA.com/insurance and get a quote today. Based on a 2023 customer survey, insurance provided by CSAA Insurance Exchange.
1 minute.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's also what a lot of us lack in our basement or garage. By switching to a Navien tankless water heater, not only will you have all the hot water you need whenever you need it, but you'll gain storage area as well. Maybe a place to display your space collectibles. Highly logical. Learn about Navien's series of high-efficiency tankless water heaters and how they don't just save space, but save dollars on your utility bills too. For more, go to tanklessmadesimple.com.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
And we're back. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. 5 o'clock focus coming up very soon with the Avon Farms Hotel. I'll break that down to you. It's not a bad story. It's actually a great story. But I want to just I want to ask the question once we get to it, because it's a story that made national news finally. Anyway, so Mark Zuckerberg releases a statement answering a letter or answering a statement to Jim Jordan. Let me just read the letter. Let's get there before I start scrambling all over the place. Here's the most important part about this, okay? He writes this letter to the Honorable Jim Jordan. I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation on online platforms. As you are aware, Meta has produced thousands of documents as part of your investigation and made a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. Further, to our cooperation with your investigation, I welcome the opportunity to share what I've taken away from this process. There's a lot of talk right now about how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down. And we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. Okay. I believe that government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think that we made choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standard due to pressure from any administration in either direction. And we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. In a separate situation, the FBI warned us about potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the lead up to the 2020 election. So now we know that it's a fact. The FBI warned them that they would be hearing about stuff related to the Biden family and Burisma up to the lead up of the 2020 election. That fall, we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden's family. We sent that story to fact checkers to review for temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. We've changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the U.S. while waiting for fact checkers. Now, everyone made a big deal out of all of that. Okay, they finally admitted it. They allowed the FBI and the White House, the Biden administration, to interfere on information gathering, information sharing, and the FBI did interfere in information gathering with regards to Joe Biden, Burisma, and the Hunter Biden laptop. We know that to be true. What we find astonishing is that even though at the time, before we got this letter, that we had emails supporting this, that Alejandro Mayorkas would say that it wasn't true. That exchange went like this.
Now, you said earlier this year that you disbanded the Disinformation Governance Board, which I thought was totally unconstitutional, but that turns out to be, at best, misleading. That's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what you're doing. Your own quadrennial review, which was just reported in the press, says that disinformation is going to be the new focus at DHS. The Quad Review says that DHS plans to target, I'm quoting now, inaccurate information domestically on a wide array of subjects, including, quoting, the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines, racial justice, U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, and the nature of U.S. support for Ukraine. A federal judge has just found as a finding of fact, Mr. Secretary, that your office, and I'm going to quote now, is supervising the nerve center of federally directed censorship. Here's another email, August 20th, 2021. Facebook writes again to HHS and highlights that Facebook is increasing the strength of our demotions for COVID and vaccine-related content. April 16th, 2021, Rob Flaherty at the White House circulates a Zoom meeting invitation to Twitter employees stating White House staff will be briefed by Twitter on vaccine misinformation. We have example after example of this administration coordinated, apparently, according to a federal court, by your agency, pressuring, coercing social media companies to engage in censorship. Is that constitutional?
Now, with all of that, and by the way, during this hearing in November of 2022, Josh Hawley, who you just hear, because I know you're familiar with his voice, was displaying actual emails that they obtained throughout the year before of them coordinating with social media companies, telling them to silence Americans. Alejandro Mayorkas is dead to rights. They got him dead to rights on this. His response.
That is unequivocally false.
Is what the emails show.
It is unequivocally false, Senator.
You are not pressuring the big tech companies to take down accounts. You are not meeting with them to ask them to censor on your behalf.
That is correct. We are not.
Mr. Secretary, it has been established for years in this country, as you very well know because you're a lawyer, that the federal government may not use private third parties to engage in activities that are unconstitutional. That's exactly what you and this administration are doing. You are leveraging private companies to carry out censorship on your behalf. It's dystopian, but worse than that, it's unconstitutional.
It's also false.
But that's not the rub, folks. That's not the rub. The last part of this letter that Mark Zuckerberg sent to the House Judiciary Committee, to Jim Jordan, is this paragraph here. Apart from the content moderation, I want to address the contributions I made during the last presidential cycle to support electoral infrastructure. The idea here was to make sure local election jurisdictions across the country had the resources they needed to help people vote safely during a global pandemic. I made these contributions through the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. They were designed to be nonpartisan and spread across urban, rural, and suburban communities. Still, despite the analysis I've seen showing otherwise, I know that some people believe this work benefited one party over the other. My goal is to be neutral and not play a role one way or another, or to even appear to be playing a role. so I don't plan on making similar contributions this cycle. So here he's saying that it was never intended to be used on one side, but it was being used. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because an Associated Press article from May 3rd, 2022, written by a guy by the name of Josh Khalidi, said this. Claim, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg spent more than $400 million in 2020 to elect Joe Biden, violating campaign finance rules that limit donations. AP's assessment, missing context. While Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan collectively donated at least $400 million to two nonprofit organizations to help various government election offices across the country, the funds were not contributions to the Biden 2020 presidential campaign and did not violate campaign finance laws. Well, no one suggested that they did. What they said was that the money was being used one-sided, and they were. He writes this. The facts post suggest that Zuckerberg improperly spent a large sum of money to elect Joe Biden have circulated widely as some social media users and conservative lawmakers continue to push the unfounded claim that fraud played a significant role in the 2020 presidential election, which now Zuckerberg is admitting that money was used fraudulently to elect only one candidate. It was not used to make sure that the election was fair and equitable and distributed so that people were safe. We know that for a fact. But many people were arguing that, and no one's even paying attention to that portion of the letter. Which, in essence, here's Mark Zuckerberg saying that his money was used for election interference. Now we know it's a fact. Who's going to investigate that? And that money, a large sum of it, was used in none other than Wisconsin. A lot of people didn't know that. But that's where the big controversy was. And there were plenty of documentaries that laid out exactly how that money was being used. And Zuckerberg never came forward and said one thing about it. But today, he's saying that the data shows exactly what everyone was warning him about, that everyone else was trying to contact him about, that for years he stayed silent about. Why is he coming out now? I don't know. There are a couple of rumors out there and a couple of theories out there, but I don't know as of yet, so I'm not going to speculate. But it is interesting that that letter came out. Well, partially because Jim Jordan released it, but it's an interesting thing that Zuckerberg did. Back to the phones we go. 860. I got time for one. Let me go to Ralph in South Carolina. Hello, Ralph. You're on Reese On The Radio.
Reese, how you doing? Hopefully we can talk about abortion one of these days. But
we will.
Couple things I'd like to talk about. First of all, there are beautiful women in every single nationality. Every single one.
Yes, there are.
There are mixed race women they are the best looking women you're ever going to see in your life.
One day I'll tell you about Ursula.
and that's just a fact. There are gorgeous women, and then of course there's men too, and there's ungorgeous women and ungorgeous men. That's just a fact. So talking about that.
Yeah.
And as far as the atomic bomb goes, Reese, can you imagine Russia launching missiles, and they know that we know the minute they're launched, we'll know.
Yeah, exactly.
And we launch ours against them.
I don't believe that that's Putin. Listen. I understand that Putin doesn't want to lose a war with Ukraine. Gosh, that would be embarrassing as a world power. But however, I don't believe that Putin. There's nothing that suggests to me that Putin is some sort of tyrannical. He's not a mullah, if you get my meaning, right? You know what I mean? He's not like the mullahs. I think of them with a nuclear weapon, and I'm going. When you've got an adversary who says his primary goal is to take his own life so he can be, with the 72 virgins, as it were. That guy I'm more fearful of than a guy like Vladimir Putin, who's trying to maintain a world order, so to speak. You know what I mean?
You're 100% correct. And as like you said, the crazy ones, and I'm sorry, you can. I have respect for every single religion.
Yeah.
But the nutty Muslims, and I'm sorry, that's what.
Well, you're talking about the radical faction. The radical faction.
Radical faction. They would do this. I believe most Muslims, and probably 90, maybe 90, 95%, are great people, decent people, but they're being pushed by these nutcases, and they haven't got the courage to stand up and tell them no.
Can I tell you
You're not
what?
going.
I'll tell you the craziest thing in the world, right? So if we're looking at, if the Muslim world is 1.2 billion, if you look at 7% of 1.2 billion, and they say that the radical Islamic movement is only 7% of the full Muslim world, even that number alone is the population of the United States. That's a considerable. That I mean, I'm sorry, a third of the United States. I apologize. A third of the United States. That's a hell of a number. That's over 125 million people.
Right, and there's 125 million people who would come into this country and kill every one of us if
Exactly.
they had that opportunity. And I'll tell you one thing, and to me, the biggest problem we have with these nutcases in Washington, how many terrorists have crossed over that border? And I want to ask every one of them, I talked about this before, Reese.
Yeah.
Every senator, every congressman, especially who supports open borders, are you going to take responsibility for
Exactly.
people if these people attack us? Are you going to accept responsibility? Yes.
Nope.
Or
That,
no?
that's
I wanna
exactly
see
right.
your-
Thank you, Ralph. Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese, thank you very much. So if you're traveling on the northbound side of I-91, look out for an accident in Hartford. It's right at exit 29 for the Treadle Oak Bridge. Left and center lanes blocked there. Stay to the right if you're going through downtown Hartford. And, of course, stay left if you're going onto the Treadle Oak Bridge with that left-handed exit there. So use caution. After that, good ride through downtown up into Windsor. Southbound 91 slowing from exit 33 to 32 A&B. Another bump down by exit 28. And more slow traffic as you move down by exit 20 in Middletown between 20 and 19. We have a crash there on southbound 91. It's taking out the right and right center lane, so stay in those two left lanes there. If you're traveling northbound 91, that looks good from Cromwell up to the accident scene in Hartford. After that, you're moving well into Windsor. If you're traveling eastbound 84, you got delays 44 up to 48 Capitol Avenue, east of the river type 50 to 58 to 59, and the 384 interchange. Westbound 84 slowing just after 56 Governor Street up to 48 Asylum. 291 eastbound's tight from I-91 over to the Bissell. 2 eastbound looks good, Glastonbury to Marlboro. If you're heading into Middletown 9 northbound, you've got delays Harbor Park up to the Aragodi Bridge, again from I-91 up to exit 32 in Berlin. Waterbury's a little slow, westbound 84 22 into the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound Newtown delays 10 to 11. South 95 New Haven tight 46 to 44. And south on the Parkway, you've got slow traffic from 60 down into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
WTIC weather.
For this afternoon, partly sunny and quite warm with a high up to 87. Remaining mainly clear, warm, and humid tonight. The low only dropping back to 69. For our Wednesday, rather cloudy. It'll be hot and humid. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon. There'll be a nice breeze out of the west-northwest, the high up to 90 for us. Then Thursday, notably cooler and less humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine. The high on Thursday dialed back to 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
And now, a WTIC news update.
4:30, good afternoon. I'm John Silva. The drumbeat's getting louder for a special legislative session on those high electricity prices. Governor Lamont says he plans to sit down with members of the legislature's Energy and Technology Committee to discuss options. A New Hampshire resident has died from Eastern equine encephalitis. It is the first death to Triple E in that state in about a decade. In Massachusetts, one town there issued a voluntary curfew to begin and will begin spraying for mosquitoes that carry the virus. Yukon has revised its policies when it comes to noise levels attributed to protests. Sound through speakers and bullhorns prohibited on Mondays through Fridays during the day. The university issued a reminder in light of protests against the war in Gaza that sprouted up again on the first day of classes on Monday. University and athletic events are excluded. It took some doing, but the school year got off on time in Southbury today after devastating floods left part of the town's infrastructure in ruins. School officials worked to make sure buses would be able to navigate the roads in town, in Southbury, one of the harder hit towns. Tomorrow, farmers will get a chance, those who have sustained damage to flooding, they'll get a chance to meet with those from the state and the USDA. Some are still tallying up the damage, and they'll get to ask questions during a listening session. Israeli forces rescued a hostage found alone underground in Gaza, freeing a living captive from Hamas's vast tunnel network for the first time since the October 7th attack that ignited the war. Wall Street, the Dow finished up 9 points, the Nasdaq gained 29, and the S&P was up 8 points. Red Sox baseball tonight on TIC, the Blue Jays and the Sox. Boston trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. 6:10 is the pregame here on TIC. Yanks continue their series in the nation's capital against the Nationals, while the Mets have a late one in Arizona with the Diamondbacks. Eastern League tonight out at Duncan Park. It's Binghamton at the Yard Goats, 7:10 on the Odyssey app. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit psychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
I learned it from my adoptive mom. Hold my hand.
You hold my hand. Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources.
I'm ready.
Customize your action plan and feel the
You got James still on.
I know.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Reese on the Radio, filling in today for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Let's go right to the phones. My good friend, another brother from another mother. James is in Windsor. What's going on, James? How are you, sir?
Hey, my brother. We're brothers from another mother, but we're still brothers in Christ.
That's right. How you been, sir?
Hey, good. I'm glad you're on, man, because I want to give a shout out to my brother Dave in Enfield, because he listens to you, and you actually made me famous.
Really?
Yeah, because when people hear me talk, they go, "You were talking to Reese the other day." And I'm not gonna lie, because like I said, we didn't rob a bank, so I'm like, yeah, and like, yeah, I heard you, and like, so thank you for that.
Not a problem. Hey, listen, it's my pleasure.
And thank 1080 for making me famous verbally, not visually.
Infamous. Right, exactly.
Yeah,
because that could always go the wrong way, James.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Because we didn't rob a bank, I'm not going to confess that I know you.
There you go. Well, definitely. What? And you said this is your cousin?
No. It's the place where I work at. I'm retired, so I do security at a senior resident house.
Oh,
and
okay.
One of my guys always say, "Hey, I heard you talking to Reese the other day." And since we didn't rob a bank, I'm not going to deny it.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Let me tell you this. And tell the folks over at the senior center. I know you don't want to disclose them, but please let them know that one of their favorite people in the world, Reese on the Radio, salutes them. and spread the word. I've got a particular following, and I found this out a long time ago that because of my respect for my elders, and I think that and when I say my respect for my elders, they raised me. Their affinity for me is mutual. So I love them because they've taught me so much, and it doesn't matter how old I get, they continue to teach me. And
old people can always teach you how not to be a fool.
That's exactly right. And you know what? And they don't give a damn anymore, so they don't care how they tell you. Sometimes they'll break your heart.
Old people don't care about insulting you because they're already old.
That's right.
So basically what's going on is that when senior citizens talk, you should be able to be quiet and listen.
That's right. They don't know anything about safe spaces. For them, a safe space is at home.
Well, in New York, I used to work in a Jewish hospital.
Yeah.
And I used to see the patients with the serial numbers on their arms.
Wow. You know what? I had a lot of. You know what? It's so funny because a lot of the people who lived in my neighborhood used to show me that. They used to show me the numbers on their arms, and they would tell me about their experiences. And I'll never forget that. I thought I was the most privileged kid in the world because I lived in a neighborhood that had Holocaust survivors who lived in the neighborhood, as well as people from the civil rights movement. My neighborhood growing up in Queens was such a melting pot. I felt like I was getting the best education I could outside of schools. James, it's always a pleasure talking to you, man. I got to get to the BPS Traffic Center with my good friend, Mark Christopher. Hey, Mark.
Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, if you're traveling on the northbound side of 91, we have an accident right at exit 29, 91 northbound. The left and center lanes blocked there, so you want to stay to the right there. If you are traveling southbound 91, you've got slow traffic 33 down to 32 A and B, another bump down by exit 28. And you're seeing delays now on the southbound side of I-91 from exit 21 down to between 20 and 19 on the Middletown-Meriden line. We have the right and right center lanes blocked with an accident there. If you're traveling through Hartford on westbound 84, you're tied up 56 Governor Street up to 48 Asylum Street, 84 eastbound slowing from just after 44 Prospect Oakwood up to 48 Capitol Avenue. Delays again 58 out to 59 into 384. Interchange 291, 384 moving well east of the river. 2 eastbounds okay, Glastonbury and Marlboro. Now, if you are traveling into the area of Middletown, 9 northbound, look for delays as you approach Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge. 84 westbound in Waterbury, delays 23 up to exit 21 on the Mixmaster. 84 eastbound in Danbury, slowing by 5. 84 eastbound in Newtown, slowing 10 to 11. South 95 New Haven, tight from exit 46 down to 44 in New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC.
All right, so we head through the evening, and tonight mainly clear, warm and humid. The low down to 69 overnight. Rather cloudy, hot and humid for Wednesday. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon. The high up at 90. Thursday, breezy, less humid, and notably cooler with a mix of clouds and sunshine. The high of 75. Very pleasant heading into the holiday weekend Friday with a mix of clouds and sun. The high of 76. Saturday, plenty of clouds, a stray thunderstorm in the afternoon, warmer, the high up to 79. Right now, it's 82 in Southbury, Waterbury at 86, and it's 84 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
ProHealth Physicians has proudly been keeping Connecticut healthy for nearly 25 years. ProHealth accepts Husky Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE, and most major insurances. For trusted local care for your whole family, call 1-855-CT-MD-411 or visit ProHealthMD.com.
Join us this Sunday for Tumulo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father and son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch the replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumulo Financial Retirement Planning with Integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Baby, it's hot outside, but baby, it's going to be cold outside real soon. Say, come on into Campbell. When the weather's hot, you should be thinking cold. Before you start up that heat pump, boiler, or furnace, contact Campbell to get on their service short list. If old reliable's too old and not reliable, talk to Campbell about a Campbell custom upgrade to your system. Connect with Campbell today at CampbellCooling.com. That's CampbellCooling.com.
Campbell Cooling uses all major name brands, including American Standard and Mitsubishi heating and cooling equipment. Let our expert technicians heat your home this fall.
Labor Day
minute.
fall is fast approaching. Apple picking, fall leaves, and chilly nights are on the horizon. With With Legacy Box, you can cozy up and watch something special this fall. Your family's home movies. Legacy Box is the simple, safe, all-inclusive solution for preserving your family's memories trapped on videotapes, film, even photos. After 10 years in business, Legacy Box is the world's largest digitizer. They've helped over 1 million families relive their wedding days, babies' first steps, and family road trips. Just fill Legacy Box with your VHS tapes, film reels, or pictures. Legacy Box digitizes it all by hand right here in the USA, and then sends it back on a thumb drive or the cloud. Future-proof your recorded moments today so you can gather the family and begin the trip down memory lane. Plus, for a limited time, they're offering 55% off. Go to legacybox.com/value to get 55% off. That's legacybox.com/value.
It is your girl, Cammie.
NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube.
And I want you to know that when I listen to the radio, okay, I listen to Reese on the radio.
And we're back. It's Reese on the Radio, NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. We have what can only be seen as, is this right? I guess, might as well. It is, it's breaking news. I guess it is. Trump's been indicted again. Yay! And you don't stop because you can't stop. Jack Smith is indicted Donald Trump again. From Politico. Trump indicted again in an election subversion case brought by Jack Smith. The 36-page indictment secured today by the special counsel is an attempt to recalibrate the case after the Supreme Court's immunity decision. A federal grand jury in Washington, D.C. has re-indicted Donald Trump on 4 felony charges related to his effort to subvert the 2020 presidential election. The 36-page indictment secured Tuesday by special counsel Jack Smith is an attempt by prosecutors to recalibrate the case against Trump in light of the Supreme Court's ruling last month that concluded that presidents enjoy sweeping immunity from prosecution for their official conduct. The new indictment removes some specific allegations against Trump, but contains the same 4 criminal charges, including conspiracy to defraud the United States. It's a signal that Smith believes the High Court's immunity decision doesn't pose a major impediment to the convicting the former president. Quote, the superseding indictment, which was presented to a new grand jury that had not previously heard evidence in this case, reflects the government's efforts to respect and implement the Supreme Court's holdings and remand instructions. In an apparent bid to downplay any connection between Trump's conduct and his official duties, the new charging document repeatedly emphasizes the political and personal nature of many of the actions Trump took during the post-election period and on January 6, 2021. The indictment underscores that Mike Pence was not only vice president, but also Trump's running mate when Trump's pressured Pence to block the certification of the election results. So, you know the whole deal, okay? So it's just another indictment. Jack Smith, how do I put this kindly? Instead of just going away kindly, this has become personal to him, as most of these cases do. Fani Willis in the same way, which I also hear Fani Willis is at the cusp of having her case thrown out. I got some bozo who owes me $1,000 if that takes place. I don't expect him to hold up to that. But, I don't think that case is going anywhere either. At this point, it's more people trying to stay inside the news cycle because their lives are either boring or insignificant. But we'll see where it goes. We'll follow it. You know how much we love the courtroom drama. I should have had my my Law and Order soundbite or sound effect, because I graduated from Law and Order University. You may not know that, but I do. I did graduate, full honors, valedictorian, I might add. Back to the phones we go. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Who do we have on the line? Is this Tim in Hamden?
Hi, Reese. You graduated from Law and Order University. What did they have a good football team?
No, they had no football team. They definitely did not have a football team.
It sounds like UConn not having a football team. Anyway, that's a joke. Anyway, great basketball team, but let's not talk about pro sports. Anyway, so you were talking about the billionaire who, with this mega corporation, whether people think he did or didn't influence the election. But we never really talk about the fact that billionaires, period, whether they're left or right, are essentially dictating this election, making it so incredibly expensive that we've essentially, we've come down to a uniparty where we have essentially two wings of the same party with different billionaires. I mean,
do you think that's the case in this election?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me how.
Can you tell me what Donald Trump's policy on health care is?
Can I tell you?
Can. I'll tell
you. Wait. You asked me a question and then you jump right in. Well,
okay.
Wait a minute. So in order for Donald Trump not to be in with the big donors, he has to have a health care policy? Is that what your criteria is?
No, my criteria is that, when we have almost a quarter of the United States GDP involved with the healthcare industry, and he has a track record of trying to repeal a terrible healthcare record with nothing to replace it, and then him saying, "Oh, this is really complicated. Who knew?"
How about this one? Okay, now let me debate. Tim, let me debate you on what I believe. And again, what Donald Trump's position on it, because health care is not a key issue. Maybe it should be, but it isn't.
Oh, my God. It has to be.
I said maybe it should be, and I'm conceding that maybe it should be, but it isn't. But let me explain to you why it isn't for me, and then maybe you can explain to me why it should. Hear me out. You do have options, as we do in many cases in our life, right? We all have choices to make, right? So we don't have a job that provides us with health care. Should we better care for ourselves? Sure we can. Now, people with pre-existing conditions notwithstanding, we don't have 400 million people living in the United States with pre-existing conditions. We do have people with them who do, right? We do. They're not, but it's not all of them. However, the majority of people in this country can maintain good health by doing what? By doing the things that are important, doing the research, knowing stuff about their bodies, knowing what they can and cannot eat. If they are becoming overweight, to do things like exercise. They don't have to join the gym. They can exercise. They can do things that actually keep them healthy. They don't need...
May I interrupt?
In a second. They don't need health insurance in the sense of having provided by the government, because in many cases, what they're asking for, and I think the government and a lot of people who talk about this, what they're trying to do is provide health care for people who need it most, who have been negligent with their health. That's usually the case they're talking about. But, truth be told, most people, as young people do, they don't get health insurance even when it's provided by their employer. Why? Because they're healthy and they don't want to spend the money out of their paycheck in order to get that health insurance. So we have millions of people who don't buy health insurance for that reason. But it should be a choice because it is. What you're suggesting, and what many others in the healthcare realm are suggesting, that everyone should be mandated to get health insurance and it should be provided by everyone else, but you cannot tell me why it is that every person should provide it for everyone if some people don't want it or some people do, and why they should have to pay a high premium for health care that they don't use or health insurance they don't use. Go on.
Okay. So first off, the whole idea that, that we have literally millions of military vets on the streets, essentially not able to plug into the system. The fact that we have, essentially Obamacare is essentially Mitt Romney care in Massachusetts, where you either pay and buy it, or you pay into it as a system. So it's essentially they decided, this is our healthcare system that's too expensive for most people. Everybody cannot afford the ongoing rate hikes on a continuous basis. They all have to wait too long. Everybody else is if you look at other countries like Canada, Britain, and others, you get much cheaper health care at a faster rate, and they have, much better preventative care. So
Let me interject on the Canadian part. You said Canada. Well, come on, you know it's going to come out. So you mention it, and then you expect me not to respond to it. Primary care physician. How long do you have to wait in Canada to see a primary care physician?
Everybody in Canada is completely covered.
Sir,
Everybody.
how long? How many days does it take you to visit your primary care physician in Canada under their free health care plan?
Will I have that chance to be respond, or you just hang up on me?
No, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to hang up on you. I just want an answer to the question that I asked. You brought up Canada. How many days do you have to wait to see a primary? According to Canada. According to Canada.
According to Canada.
Yep.
What does that mean? The Canadian government?
Yes.
Canadian. Who are you talking about?
How long do you have to wait before you see your primary?
You don't really have an answer.
I know what the answer is.
Answer.
Okay.
Okay.
According to the primary health care physicians in Canada, how long does a patient wait to see them? How long? How many days?
Okay.
How many days?
I would say 180.
180?
Yeah.
So 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that long. But you believe that in order to see, you have a condition today, and you're okay with a 3-month waiting period to see a primary care physician?
I am absolutely not. I am. If you have any type of ongoing, thing that you should have, regular yearly checkups. They should be,
180 is 6 months.
Appropriate time.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Sorry. It's 6 months. That's right. 180 is 6 months. I apologize. Thank you. I'm counting differently here.
All right. So,
but it's not that long. But it's not that long.
Would most people take something that costs them on an average thousands less? And one of the reasons we don't have people in the streets in Canada like we have in the United States is because a lot of those people, can get their mental health coverage and all that stuff. We don't have that system here in the United States. But we're not even talking about that. I originally called about the fact that we have billionaires deciding what issues are, quote, important, which issues are not. And I would say things like, the Uniparty essentially says neither Harris nor Trump is going to significantly change our healthcare system to get, results that lower costs and get people in a more equitable manner. None of them have it. And the fact that you're a major talk radio person and you can't say, oh, Donald Trump wants to do A, B, and C as far as healthcare, or C, D, and E as far as the war in Ukraine, or X, Y, and Z in the Middle East, is part of the problem.
Okay, well, I'll be able to answer any question you give, but here's the thing, Tim, and while you're calling. Aside from being all over the place, when you talk about something and you want me to address that, and then you say I'm not addressing the other thing, you brought it up about healthcare. What's Donald Trump's position on healthcare? And I said I really don't care what his position is on healthcare, because what he wants to do is he wants to get rid of Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act, because he believes that it's not only killing the healthcare industry, but it's also people are not getting the care that they need, and not only that, it's also raising people's premiums. Those of us who have to, or at least those of us who have to pay for other people's health care. That is not a way to go. Let me finish, though. Let me finish this part. The number of days that you wait in Canada to see a primary health care physician is 55 days, within 55 to 60 days. All right? So that's 2 months. Okay? They have a population of 38.9 million people. All right. Mm-hmm. So if you're considering the numbers, and I want to take Canada, because we have all these people who always keep bringing up Canada. They have 9 times less people than we do in the country. 9 times. If we had the same product that they had, we are looking at someone seeing their primary health care physician in the United States. I ran the numbers while you were talking. That means in order for me to see my primary health care physician, it would take 495 days for me to see them. That's over a year.
Would you, if you ask the average person, would they take the ability to, move to job, not be dependent upon, one particular job and whatever they offer, and you ask them, the average person, they've done study after study, would you accept something that is thousands per person less than the United States cost, and at the same time cover every single person? Now, I'm going.
Do you want to federalize medicine? Is that what you want to do? Do you want to federalize medicine?
I want a.
You would have to
single-payer
federalize medicine in order
No,
for it
you
to.
wouldn't.
Tell me how you wouldn't. Tell me seriously in 30 seconds. Tell me how you listen. You have to understand what I'm saying to you. Medicine is an industry, whether you like it or not. Ask the folks over at Pfizer. Okay, medicine is an industry. All facets of medicine is an industry, from the utensils, from the actual, from beds to gurneys to syringes to gauzes. These are things sold by corporations. It's an industry, whether you like it or not. So in order for it to be affordable, that's right. No, it isn't. That's right. So in order for it to be,
no one can afford.
Again, I'm not no one. Again, so I'm going to say it to you again. In order for it to be regulated, you have to regulate the price of every item in the hospital. And you're saying that government intervention into that industry, it's almost like the price gouging nonsense that Kamala Harris is talking about. It's a federalization of the industry. It means that the federal government will dictate what it costs for a syringe, what it costs for a gauze, what it costs for a CAT scan, what it costs for an MRI. They get to dictate. And why? Because they're going to make it affordable to every person. Now, what do you think happens to the industry when they are regulated to a certain price, regardless of how they make the product, who they sell the product to? It is all.
Okay. Give me a check.
Go ahead. Sorry. And no. You know what?
All right, so
Hold off.
So let's start.
Hold on, because we're about to get into the BPS Traffic Center. Hold on for me. Let's get into that. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center, then we'll come back to Mark. Thank you, Mark.
All right. Thank you very much, Reese. Thank you. And if you're heading into downtown Hartford right now, seeing some slow traffic on the northbound side of I-91. We have an accident at 29 left and center lanes taken out there. You want to stay to the right there as you approach exit 29. Now, if you're on the southbound side of 91, delays 33 to 32. Another bump down by exit 28. Now, if you're traveling down into the Meriden area right now, we had an accident between 20 and 19. The right and right center lane was blocked. That is cleared over the last couple of minutes. So look for delays now from exit 22 down to exit 20 Country Club Road, but that will start to ease out a little bit now. If you are traveling eastbound 84, you got delays 44 Prospect Oakwood up to 48 Capitol Avenue. Again, delays 58 out to 59 in the 384 interchange. Westbound 84 slowing 56 Governor Street up to 48 Asylum. 291, 384, that looks good east of the river. 2 eastbound moving well Glastonbury to Marlboro. 9 northbound delays Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge. 9 northbound slowing again up by exit 32 in Berlin. If you're traveling 84 eastbound in Waterbury, delays by exit 18. Eastbound 84 Danbury slowing 3 to 5. 84 eastbound slowing again 10 to 11 in Newtown. If you're traveling northbound on the Parkway, look for some slow traffic now between exit 58 and 59. As you head up toward the West Rock Tunnel, we have an accident reported there. Southbound 95 New Haven tied up from 48 down to 44 New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, I'll take some. And some Frank's Red Hot. Nah. You're just going to eat these boring nachos with no flavor. Frank it up! Frank it up! This guy finally gets it.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything. WTIC weather.
Well, this afternoon, partly sunny and quite warm with the high up to 87. Remaining mainly clear, warm, and humid tonight. The low only dropping back to 69. For our Wednesday, rather cloudy. It'll be hot and humid. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon. There'll be a nice breeze out of the west-northwest. The high up to 90 for us. Then Thursday, notably cooler and less humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine. The high on Thursday dialed back to 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is 99 and kicks off a year-long celebration to 100 years on the air. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
5 o'clock, Hartford temperature 83 degrees. Good afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. State Republican leaders are again calling for a special session to address increasing electricity rates. They want to stop the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority's decision to require customers to pay for one-time private vehicle charger installations. They're also concerned about the possibility of reaching a deal for offshore wind that would be 15 cents per kilowatt hour instead of 5 cents per kilowatt hour for nuclear. Ryan Fazio, senator from Greenwich, offers up another idea.
We need to look at using existing but unspent ARPA dollars, the little which remains, and reallocating it to pay down those one-time expenses due to the unpaid bills, due to the shut-off moratorium.
Governor's letter today, in response to a previous letter from Republicans, tells them they're welcome to sit in on some upcoming conversations he is planning in the near future on the issue, but doesn't commit to a special session or immediate sit-down meeting with Republicans, who are now encouraging residents to sign a petition at specialsessioncT.com. Schools continue to open this week for the 2024-25 academic year. Today, Hartford welcomed students back to the classroom. They were greeted by members of the group Calling All Brothers. This parent says she's happy but doesn't want her child to grow up too fast.
I'm so excited. It's all new, but I think it's a important step in their life, and they are growing so fast.
It was a whole other issue in Southbury, one of the towns hardest hit by last week's devastating flood. Officials weren't sure if they'd make the scheduled opening day today. Regional School District 15 Superintendent Joshua Smith worked late into Monday night with his staff to make it a possibility.
Starting school kind of as normal as possible. If we learned anything during a pandemic, it's that consistency is important. Families need to have kind of a reliable schedule.
Audio from WFSB. A superseding indictment has been filed against former President Trump by special counsel Jack Smith after the Supreme Court earlier this year granted Trump broad immunity in the attempt to overturn the 2020 election. Jessica Levinson is a Loyola law professor and CBS News legal contributor.
All 4 counts are continuing. And the thing that changed is for Jack Smith to go to a grand jury, understand the new legal framework, the new standard, and say, here's the evidence we have. Will you, grand jury, do you think we have enough to indict under the new legal framework?
On Wednesday, state agriculture officials and those of the USDA are scheduled to hold a listening session in Southbury about any impacts from the flooding last week on Connecticut's farmers. Joan Nichols is the executive director of the Connecticut Farm Bureau Association.
And then also whether there were any buildings, barn collapses or buildings that were lost or undermined from the flooding. So there's always the concern of loss of infrastructure.
And she says by and large, the state's farming community has held its own as harvest season gets underway, but they still want to hear from those who may have sustained damage or crop loss. Former President Trump says on his Truth Social platform that he and Vice President Harris have agreed on a debate on Tuesday, September 10th in Philadelphia.
The rules will be the same as the CNN debate. And at the CNN debate, that is where they had the mics muted when a candidate was not speaking or perhaps when the question had gone to someone else.
CBS's Olivia Rinaldi. Markets finished up in light trading on Wall Street today. The Dow was gained 9 points, the NASDAQ up 29, and the S&P up 8 points. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
1 minute.
Use your own body's healing properties to revitalize your
1 minute,
joints
Jesus.
and get real lasting joint pain relief. I'm talking about advanced regenerative medicine at QC.
I'm going to
Kinetics.
Sean and Meriden,
If
and
you're
then I'll come
tired
back
of
to Tim.
arthritic pain with
Hold
your
off on the
knees,
5 o'clock
back, or
focus.
shoulder, this is something you need to check.
Got it.
Consultation, by the way, is totally free. It's called regenerative medicine, and the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are experts in these amazing treatments, and thousands across the country have benefited from it. You can enhance your joints, improve mobility, get back to doing the stuff you love without pain, without drugs, without surgery or downtime. You got to give them a call. The consultation is totally free. They are the nation's leader in this type of medicine. So give QC Kinetics a call. They're in Avon, they're in New Haven, and they're now in Glastonbury as well. It's 860-440.
Second, right at the line.
You got it.
PAIN. The company is QC Kinetics. That consultation is free. And that number, one more time, is 860-440-PAIN.
This is Reese on the Radio, filling in for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, 2 things. We'll hold up on the 5 o'clock focus. That's coming up soon. And we'll hold off on Tim because I want to end this whole thing with the Canadian healthcare thing. But I want to go to Sean and Meriden because I don't want him to hold anymore. Sean, you are on Reese on the Radio. Thanks for holding. How are you? Sean is
Hear
not.
me?
Oh, hey. Hi, Sean.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Pretty good, Sean. How are you?
Good. Regards to the gentleman who's still on hold.
Yes.
Okay. What he's really saying is, I want communism. I want socialism.
Yep.
And that's fine if that's what you want. But in America, hell no. Okay. Number one. Number two, part of what they're talking about, because I've tried to reach out to the senators here in Connecticut.
Yes.
And also my representative for Meriden, Johanna Hayes.
Yeah.
About the border and about the election for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Now, one of them has reported back because they're not acknowledging that their staff, so they can always have a buffer zone.
Right.
Their staff says, we have no idea what you're talking about. Really.
Plausible deniability.
Exactly. That's exactly what they built in. And so here's the deal. Anyone who wants to back the Democratic Party, that's fine. But what you're backing is communism. And Ronald Reagan said it so well, that our freedom is a generation away. And the generation right now is basically saying, I want everything for free. I don't want to have to pay. I want to stay in my parents' basement till I'm 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. And by the way, all you morons who are paying for it, that's on you.
That's right.
But yet when we get mad, that we actually acknowledge it and we say something to you, then suddenly we're bad people.
Yeah. Sean.
It's common sense.
Yep. Sean, thank you so much. I'm glad I grabbed you because I didn't want you to hold for that.
Appreciate
And
it.
my pleasure, man. My pleasure. Let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Hey, Mark. Who's going to need a second? Apparently. He's almost there. I think he's walking right up to the mic. He's about to grab it and give the traffic. And right about now. Right. Almost there. He was probably waiting for me to go a little long. There he is.
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. If you're heading into downtown Hartford right now, you're seeing a slow ride on the southbound side of I-91 from exit 33 down to 32A and B. South of downtown tight again, 27 down to 28, and you got delays from 22 down to 21 in Cromwell from an earlier accident. Northbound 91, that's a little tight as you move up on exit 29 for the Charter Oak Bridge. We have an accident taking out the left and center lanes there. Now, stay to the right with that. Now, once you get around that, you get a good ride up into Windsor. If you're traveling 291 eastbound, you're heavy from I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. 84 eastbound coming into Hartford, delays about a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue up to 48 Capitol Avenue. Delays again. 56 right out to exit 59 into 384 interchange. Westbound 84 is tied up. 56 Governor Street up to 48 Asylum. 2 westbound slowing exit 4 to the 84 West merge. Heading into Middletown 9 northbound's a little slow at the Aragoni Bridge. Heading into Waterbury 84 eastbound slowing by 18. 84 eastbound in Danbury tight 3 to 5. Again, 84 eastbound slowing from 9 in Newtown to 11 in Newtown. Northbound Parkway, look out for an accident just north of exit 59, just before the West Rock Tunnel on the northbound side of the Parkway. You've got delays now pushing back toward exit 58 in Orange behind that. South 95 New Haven slowing from 46 down to 43 in West Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
Brought to you by Floor & Decor. Unbeatable prices, unmatched in-stock selection.
Floor & Decor has more styles of laminate, vinyl, tile, wood, and stone for anyone looking for the right look at the right price. Your next beautiful space is at Floor & Decor.
WTIC weather.
Going to be a warm and humid night for us. Partly cloudy skies, the low down to 70 degrees. Then a hot day as we head through our midweek Wednesday. Looking at a high temperature near 90 degrees. A heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon, so watch out for that. As we head into the day on Thursday, breezy, less humid, significantly cooler for us and much more comfortable as we make our way toward the holiday weekend. Breezy, mix of clouds and sunshine Thursday, the high of 75. Heading into Friday, nice day, mix of clouds and sun again, the high of 76. Plenty of clouds on Saturday, a straight thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high of 79. And Sunday, humid with a mix of clouds and sun, warmer, the high up to 85. Right now, New Haven at 82, New London at 73, and it's 84 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Start your day with all the latest sports information. Matt Soroyce has updates from the Cordell and Cordell Sports Desk at 15 and 45 past every hour. Only on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
Hey, Reese, do you want the focus drop or not?
For this?
From anywhere you want.
You could be.
Yeah, if it's up to-
Yeah,
might as well. Go ahead.
With zero.
Okay, sounds good. You have about a minute and a half.
You got it. Thank
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is the famous footwear that makes us actually want to go back to school. With the newest styles from all your favorite brands, like Nike, Adidas, Crocs, Converse, New Balance, Birkenstock, and more. You'll find everything kids want, all at prices parents can appreciate. Because you don't have to overspend to make it famous. Famous Footwear even has fit experts in store to make sure you get the right size every time. So, for the perfect fit, make it famous. Plus, right now, buy one, get one half off when you shop your local Famous Footwear or famous.com. Some exclusions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information.
1 minute.
Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a
you
generic
go.
form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free. With zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this
10 seconds.
address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
It's the 5 o'clock. Oh, it's the 5 o'clock. Come on, man. Focus already. And we're back. It's Reese on the Radio. News Talk 1080 WTIC. 5 o'clock focus coming up briefly, but I'm going to spend another 5 with Tim and Hamden. So, Tim, I want to read this to you real quick. So, primary care, to see your primary care physician 55 days in Canada. But somebody sent this to me, and I'm glad they did. From the Fraser Institute. Headline, Waiting Your Turn, Wait Times for Healthcare in Canada. This is based on a 2022 report. According to this report, some people do not receive treatment from their primary healthcare physician for 25.6 weeks at a time. Now, again, with a population of 38 million, it takes them half a year to get treatment. With 340, maybe 350 million people in the United States, in an industry we know is going to hemorrhage people in the United States. People are just going to leave the industry because, again, that will be government regulated, what you can charge for whatever the health care might be, right? It will not be a free market because no one believes it should be because they're dealing with health care. By the way, I don't know how you're going to recruit more doctors and nurses to be in there unless you mandate that they become doctors and nurses, right? Because, again, people will not find it as why do most people become doctors? Not just because they love medicine, it's because it's usually pretty lucrative. And aside from the fact that they love the industry, but it's usually pretty lucrative because it's an industry. It is an industry. Some people do it out of, the goodness of, their hearts, but it is an industry that is lucrative. Being a doctor affords you to drive that new Audi. So if you know that it's going to be regulated by the federal government, which says you can only make this amount because it's important for patient care, that you only charge this amount, no one's going to find it as a lucrative means of opportunity. So, what do you propose? I'll give you the last word. What do you propose in order to make sure that people can still be lucrative in the industry and at the same time make it affordable for people to get health care? Sir? Did he bounce? Oh, okay. There you go. Okay.
Hello, am I there?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're here. You're here. Okay. So
Yeah.
how do you how do you play both of those?
Well, having been being called a communist, which I
Oh, let
really
that go.
despise.
People are going to call you names, Tim. So what? Come
I
on, let's
know,
get to the point.
but you let it go. So here's why I'm not a communist. When I look at, and you can look at the statistics, the top 6 executive of for-profit healthcare companies, CEOs, who make an average of $20 million per year.
So?
That includes Hartford, Connecticut, where the man who heads up the healthcare industry, one of the
You can listen. You can go after all the CEOs till the cows come home, Tim. Let's deal with the people. Wait. I want to talk about the people who actually provide health care to individuals who get into the industry.
And I'm talking about the people who deny health care to individuals.
Okay, again,
That's
what
another-
I'm saying to
that's
you
another-
is that there are
You don't wanna
people who
talk
work
about
in
that,
hospitals.
that's
No.
your
You
argument.
want to talk about, listen, if you want to go after the bigwigs, we'll have a conversation about bigwigs. But again, remember,
No, we won't.
this is, I'll tell you why.
No, they don't, because they contribute to the Republican
Tim,
Party.
the fact that you are, I don't want to call it fear, but I will say that you're negating.
I'm sick of the taxpayers.
Well,
paying
I
all
understand
the
that,
time
Tim, but guess what? When you go to the hospital, listen, when you go to the hospital,
When I go to the Yale Hospital, it's
Okay,
standing room only
Tim,
in the ER.
when you go to the hospital, be it tomorrow, be it next year, whatever the case may be, you're going to be dealing with an actual practitioner, right? You're going to be dealing with that person who gets a paycheck and also somebody who provides.
And every survey.
May I
every
please?
survey done,
Let me please
no.
just finish the statement. You're going to be dealing with somebody on the ground floor that will be administering some sort of health care to you. And whatever it is that they provide, there is a cost to them providing whatever it is, be it a medication, be it a gauze, be it a syringe, be it whatever the case may be, and all those things cost
to the
money.
corporation.
I wasn't done, Tim. What my point is to you is that what you believe, and you don't want to admit it because you know it's true, in order to make each and every one of those little incidentals affordable, 2 things have to be done. You have to regulate the cost of every one of those incidental things. You are looking at the hospital industry or the healthcare industry in the macro, failing to recognize that everything that happens in healthcare costs is in the micro. Every little thing that you think is too expensive to pay for, a CAT scan, an MRI, I don't know, whatever the procedure might be, an x-ray, whatever those things are, you believe that those things should be regulated down so that it is affordable for the average human being to pay.
No, don't you dare.
Well, okay, so tell me,
absolutely
how much
false.
should an x-ray
That is
be in order,
absolutely
wait,
false.
how much
You
should
can
it,
just scream at me
how
and
much should an
overtalk me
x-ray
all day
be
long.
then, sir? How much should it cost for an x-ray?
Look,
How much
the
should it
fact
cost for an
is-
ambulance ride?
The fact of the matter is there's not a tremendous shortage of doctors and nurses in places like Canada. They are paid well, but you keep ignoring the fact that this is
What would happen in the United States, sir? What would you talking about Canada? What would happen in the United States?
Hospitals are closing because they're not making enough profit.
Okay, again, and the problem
again,
is
you can't,
because it's an
they're being
industry
bought
and
up
you don't
left and
see it
right.
as such. That's why, Tim. The
I
problem
know,
is,
I see things something used to be.
Tim, I'm sorry that you don't
we
see
don't
it as an industry. It's not. Listen to me. It's not my
Oh,
fault
completely
that
an
you don't see. Listen,
It is an industry that the doctors and nurses favor the single payer Canadian style.
again,
system
you
over
are
ours.
failing to
Oh, by the
recognize
way,
that health care and health insurance is an industry. You are looking at it.
And your CEO makes $20 million in
Yes.
Hartford, Connecticut
Yes.
for not handing out a Band-Aid. He
And
doesn't
what
hand
you're
out a
saying, and
Band-Aid,
the bottom
but he
line is
certainly
this,
denies
Tim.
a lot of people.
Tim, the
He
bottom
denies
line
a lot of
is
people health care.
you believe that health care or health insurance should be a charitable institution, and you're wrong.
No, I believe it should be a regulated industry.
Yes,
It should be
charitable.
like a utility. We should have reasonable.
How's that
cost
working out for you on the
and
utility
reasonable-
front? How's the utility
Well,
working?
yeah,
How's the
well,
utility front working?
The Uniparty is very well. The
Again,
Uniparty
but
gets
wait a
its
minute.
donations.
You're advocating for it to be treated like a utility. The biggest utility problem we have in the state right now is
but we have
EverSource
no public
overcharging
citizen involvement.
customers.
We have to have public citizens involved.
You know what, Tim?
We
this is the reason why you and I listen. This is the reason why you and I will always butt heads, because exactly when you walk, it's the constant theme. You guys don't understand how the labyrinth works. The labyrinth works where there's an entry. No, you don't.
Profit system works.
I'm going to finish.
I know how it shuts out other hospitals.
I'm going to finish what I just said, and I'm going to say it to you again. You don't understand how the labyrinth works. You guys create the labyrinth, and you fail to make an exit.
Exactly.
Tim, you have to let me finish the sentence so you can understand what I'm talking about. You create the labyrinth, and then you walk into walls, and you wonder why there's no exit. You have to return the way you walked in. You do not understand the industry.
You're setting up a false premise.
You don't understand the industry because you don't believe that it is one, and you believe that it should be.
I'd like to have candidates who actually talk about it instead, hide their heads.
I appreciate. Listen, again, I'm just going to stick with what the facts are. You believe that the industry. You believe that the industry. You believe that the.
If you want a real debate, let me know.
I thought I had one.
People on.
You believe
if
that.
you want people who are doctors and others who advocate for this, let me know.
I don't need advocates. See, that's the part that you're missing here, Tim. You believe that if someone comes in here and they support what you believe, then therefore the argument is over. Of course, I know that there are people who believe that it should be treated like a utility. I'm simply expressing what the facts are. And the facts is that healthcare and health insurance is an industry. It is not something that you like to know. It's just something that is. And again, not accepting the world or life on life's terms is the biggest problem every liberal has in this country, is that they keep looking at things that are natural, the natural order of things, and keep trying to change them to their own whim. And they think if they get a couple of people who agree with them, that just because they agree, the entire industry should be completely upended in order to suit their needs. Why? Because they think that they are noble.
Tim's gone.
I know. They think that they are noble. They think that they figured it all out. They are just so virtuous. They clearly care more than the rest of us, and they figured the whole thing out. And you should just follow our lead because we care more than you do. No one gives a damn that you care. If you're really trying to win the I Care Olympics, you won. I don't want people to be sick. I don't want people to be, so sick into bankruptcy. Those things happen. Life happens. You are not going to mandate health. You can't. People are either going to be healthy or they're going to be obese. People are going to be sick or they're not going to be. People are going to get cancer or they're not going to be getting cancer. Those things happen. But when you start taking things and you want to you think in some way that if you change the medical industry that people are going to live longer, that you think that their lives are going to be better because you control the big bad industry making a whole bunch of money. And if you start from the premise of because they made so much money, they must be inherently evil. Please, man, just please. It sounds silly because it is, man. The rest of us can't get it. I get it. Yes, there are people who make a hell of a bunch of money. Yes, there are some insurance companies that are probably nefarious. There are some companies, most industries, that have one person or if not a few people who don't do things on the up and up. Well aware of that. But the facts are the facts, my friend. And that is the healthcare industry is an industry. It's not a charity. And until you can start convincing, you're going to start convincing a kid to go into 8 years, if not 12 years of college, to come into an industry where he's only going to make a considerable amount of money, like $50,000, $60,000. As long as he promises not to get rich and he gives away the health care and his know-how and all of the knowledge that he gained in college for free or for the minimal amount, you can damn well bet nothing's ever going to get done with the healthcare industry. You're just going to get people leaving it in droves. People wanted to be doctors because, back in the days, probably because they wanted to care for people. But there was also an incentive that says, with a doctor's salary, you can live in a nice home and raise a beautiful family. Send your kids off to college. Maybe they could become doctors too. And he could be well off. And he can have 2.3 kids with a BMW in his garage. Guys like you come along, and he's going to be a pauper going into work every day doing 10, 12 hours, doing surgeries for $5 a pop. I pull out your appendix, son. I pull out your appendix. Just give me $5. Just give me $5. Yeah, right. Liz says, why are you talking to him? I don't know, Liz. Because he called. Because he called. Everett, we'll get to you in a second, but I got to get into the 5 o'clock focus. Did you hear this story? This story is amazing to me, and now my wife is telling me that we're going to do it. This one comes out of Avon. A single mother was found living in a Connecticut hotel room, and she found out that it was less expensive than renting an apartment. Suzanne Hayes wrote an article for the Business Insider on Monday detailing her experience of deciding to book a room at the Avon Old Farms Hotel rather than continue to look for an apartment. She said that she frantically looked through Airbnb and Vrbo, but long-term options were already booked. As a last-ditch effort, she reached out to local hotels and inquired about rates for long-term stays. And that's when she received a surprise email. The only one was from Avon Old Farms. And with it, she felt like she had won the lottery. She says, we have a 2-bedroom apartment on site and we rent it for longer stays. It's $2,200 a month and includes all utilities and hotel amenities. Question. Is this a good idea? And would you do it? My wife says we should. and I might be considering it. Avon, keep me a room. We'll come back. We got more news and more views. And let's get into the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher, who's coming up in a second. Mark, are you there? Or it is time, right? Yes, it's time for the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher.
Sounds like the band is. Sounds like the band is a little bit late showing up here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I guess I'll talk now. Up your 84 eastbound coming into Hartford, you got delays about a half mile before 46th Avenue to the Bulkley Bridge, and you're tied up again 56 Governor Street out to between 58 and 59. Looks like we have an accident now between 59 and 60, just east of the 384 ramp. So can't see it on camera, can't tell you what lane, but I can tell you it's very heavy up to that point. Now, if you're on the westbound side of 84, you're tied up 56 Governor Street up to 47 Sigourney Street, south of 91.
Michael B. was just asking about him yesterday and said, where is Tim? I was like, I don't know.
As you move down by exit 23 in Rocky Hill. Now, if you're on the northbound side of 91, that's moving very well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. 291 eastbound slowing from I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. Westbound tight from exit 4 to the 84 West merge. Both sides of 9 a little tight at the Aragoni Bridge in Middletown. 84 eastbound slowing by 18 in Waterbury. Now, if you're on the eastbound side of 84 in Danbury, you got delays 3 to 5. Again, 84 eastbound slowing in Newtown as you move from exit 10 up to exit 11. Northbound Parkway, a crash between 59 and 60. That's reported in the right lane just prior to the West Rock Tunnel. Delays are well before 59. Behind that, if you're traveling 95 southbound in New Haven, you got delays Q Bridge down to 43 in West Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
WTIC weather.
Sunny and quite warm with a high up to 87. Remaining mainly clear, warm, and humid tonight. The low only dropping back to 69. For our Wednesday, rather cloudy. It'll be hot and humid. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon. There'll be a nice breeze out of the west-northwest. The high up to 90 for us. Then Thursday, notably cooler and less humid with a mix of clouds and sunshine. The high on Thursday dialed back to 75. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
And now, a WTIC news update.
84 degrees at 5:30. I'm John Silva. The first day of school continues this week for a number of districts. In Hartford, students were welcomed back by the group Calling All Brothers for the start of the new year. In Southbury, officials had to double time it to get the year off on the right foot in one of the town's hardest hit by last week's flooding. Man was wounded last night in a shooting in New Haven. Officers say a shot spotter activation brought them to an area of Fox and Boulevard. 20-year-old male victim sustained non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Israeli military has rescued one of the scores of hostages abducted during the October 7th attack by Hamas that sparked the war in Gaza. Military says the 52-year-old was rescued in a complex operation in the southern Gaza Strip. Republican State Senator Ryan Fazio of Greenwich delivered this message for constituents of any party today unhappy with electric rates.
We are urging everyone to go to specialsessionct.com.
Governor Lamont stopped short of calling for a special session, but said in a letter he plans on sitting down soon with members of the legislature's Energy and Technology Committee. And one of those who rioted at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th learned his fate today. Michael Sparks gets 4.5 years in prison. He was the first rioter to enter the complex to try and stop the 2020 election from being certified. Wall Street, Dow gained 9 points today. The NASDAQ up 29, and the S&P was 8 points up. Baseball tonight on WTIC, Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. 6:10 is the pregame here after the news. Yanks continue their series in D.C. tonight against the Nationals. The Mets another late one in Arizona with the D-backs. Eastern League, Binghamton comes to Duncan Park to face the Yard Goats, 7:10 on the Odyssey app. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Men, low testosterone causes a host of problems. These include a low sex drive, bad sleep patterns, unproductive workouts, decreased energy, brain fog, and more. But many men just attribute these symptoms to aging and don't consider that there are medical treatments that can give them back their vigor and vibrancy. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health, and if you're feeling like I just described, it's time for you to treat that low T and change your life. At Northeast Men's Health, we're experts in treating low testosterone and other men's sexual health conditions. We've successfully treated thousands of men for low T and have seen the amazing difference that those treatments can make in a man's life. If you're feeling like the vast majority of men who are low T, within just a few weeks, you'll feel your energy return. That brain fog will go away. Your sleep will improve, as will your workouts, and your sex drive will be significantly enhanced as well. So make an appointment and make a true life change. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com. We have 5 offices across the Northeast to serve you.
Oops. Ever had your singing lessons cut short by icy water?
Oh, I'm sorry, honey.
Say goodbye to those cold notes with Navien tankless water heaters. With Navien, you'll hit all the right notes without the surprise chill. So keep singing and let Navien keep the hot water flowing. And get ready for the encore when you get your utility bill. Tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit
10 seconds.
retirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Reese on the Radio, filling in for Todd Feinberg on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's the 5 o'clock focus. It's the 5 o'clock focus.
I'm focused, man. And we're back. Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. We'll take your phone calls at 5 o'clock focus in a moment. I'm going to fill all that up. So the Avon Farms Hotel, and I've stayed there, and it is beautiful. The area's beautiful. It's a nice place. But I almost sound like that's... I don't know exactly how hotels work as far as, like, sometimes during a busy season, it's like, booked. You have weddings over there. As Mark Christopher already mentioned, he's DJ'd weddings there. But I was there. But I just love that whole scenery, especially, again, in the wintertime, even though it was like 14 degrees on Christmas Day while I was there. It was still beautiful. And I would stay there again in a heartbeat. To live there is even better because the amenities of staying there. But I have to think about, if I had to make a choice, getting an apartment or staying at a hotel, it would have to be a hotel like the Avon Farms. I don't think I could do it anywhere else. Like, I don't know whether or not the DoubleTree would match, would measure up unless you've been there. Roland, what's the nicest hotel you've ever been in? If you could remember, like a hotel you went in and you were just like, yo, I can live here. Because during one divorce, I actually lived in a hotel for about a month, 2 months.
Four Seasons, Beverly Hills.
Okay, you stayed at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills? Man, okay, all right.
Yeah, that's where I met a lot of stars out there.
Really? How long did you stay at the hotel? Was it just like a weekend or like a week?
No, 6 days.
6 days. Okay, that's a good amount of time. Now, I stayed
$3,000 too.
What? For 6 days? Yeah. All things considered, yeah. But I stayed at a Holiday. I think it was a Holiday Inn. I want to say it was a Holiday Inn. I could be wrong. But I stayed at a Holiday Inn, and I stayed there for 2 months because the apartment that I was moving into wasn't going to be available until March. So I had to stay there the end of March. So I had to stay there through February and through all of March. And because I had to get out of the house, the apartment that I was living in with my ex-wife at the time. Yes, the same woman who was on the air. Yes, Mary. So we had separated, and I wasn't going to stay in the same apartment with her. So I stayed at a hotel, and I was able to go to one of those weird sites, and they were able to get me the hotel room for like $45 a night. And I just paid through the month. And I just, accumulated all the days, and I just paid straightforward. So it's just one of those things that I had to do. But if you have an option like the Avon Farms Hotel, would you do it? Like, forget about going to find an apartment. You got amenities, you got swimming pool, you got a gym. That sounds like something. Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center, would you do it? $2,700 a month to stay at the Avon Farms. You got a gym, you got a pool, and you got cleaning.
Yeah. No.
No?
It's a beautiful place, but...
In your single days.
Oh, my single days. Okay, that's different.
Okay, it's just you and your wife, no kids.
Oh, no, I'd still rather be where we were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just
Now, before, like I didn't have a steady girlfriend or a wife. Yeah, that'd be totally cool.
Yeah, that would be boss. I think that would be
that would be cool. That would be definitely cool.
You the cleaning services alone would be a benefit. Like that would be. I would pay $3,000 a month for that if I didn't have to.
That would be very cool. I can't believe Roland just said he stayed at the Beverly Hills Four Seasons.
I know. I can't believe that
because
either.
I just stayed there in June. I was there for 5 days in June.
Really? For what?
We went on vacation out there, and my wife, with the company she works for,
okay,
she's got this incredible deal. She goes, "Hun, we can stay at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills for like $300 a night. Should we book it?" I'm like, "Of course we should book it," because it's normally like over $900 a night. It was so funny because we had a BMW as a rental car, so when we pulled in there, we looked like we belonged.
Yeah.
But once we got out of the car, it was like the Beverly Hillbillies. In Beverly Hills. I might as well have been Jed Clampett, for God's sake.
Oh, that's horrible.
If you're heading into Hartford right now, Reese, thank you very much. We are slowing on the southbound side of 91 from exit 33 down to 32 A and B. Another slowdown down by exit 28 and another slowdown by exit 23 in Rocky Hill. The West Street exit northbound 91 moves well from Cromwell, Rocky Hill, right through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 tied up just after 56 Governor Street to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound, you've got delays from 46 Sisson Avenue up to 48 Capitol Avenue. Slowing again between 58 and 59 into 384 interchange. 291 eastbound tight from I-91 over to the Bissell. 2 westbound is tight in East Hartford. Exit 4 to the 84 West merge. Quiet Middletown. If you are traveling 9 northbound, a little tight getting by exit 32 in Berlin. 84 eastbound in Waterbury slowing by 18, 84 eastbound in Danbury tight by exit 3, 84 eastbound in Newtown delays from 9 up to exit 11. Northbound Parkway, we have an accident between
we still got Everett
and 60 in New Haven. That's taking out the right lane.
Yes, we do.
All right, well before 59 behind that. South 95 New Haven tied up from the Q Bridge down to 44 in New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
All right, as we head through tonight, mainly clear, warm and humid, the low down to 69 overnight, then rather cloudy, hot and humid for our Wednesday. Watch for a heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high up to 90. There'll be a nice breeze, though, out of the west-northwest. Thursday, breezy, less humid, and a cooler day, much more comfortable for us. A mix of clouds and sun, the high of 75, though. Busy wind out of the east-northeast, 10 to 20 miles an hour sustained throughout the day. Nice day Friday, leading into the holiday weekend. Periods of clouds and sunshine, the high of 76. Saturday, clouds, a straight thunderstorm in the afternoon, the high 75, but warm and humid on Sunday. Pretty classic Labor Day weekend. Clouds and sun with the high of 85. Right now, Bristol at 83. Granby at 86, and Hartford checking in at 84. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
It's not just a breakfast, it's the breakfast. Get the classic sausage McMuffin with egg at McDonald's, now for only $2.50. Price and participation may vary.
Join us this Sunday for Tumulo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father and son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch the replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumulo Financial Retirement Planning with Integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
And some Frank's Red Hot.
Nah.
You're just going to eat these boring nachos with no flavor. Frank it up! Frank it!
I was thinking the same thing, Craig.
Perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi, I'm Kamiko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Inc. card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
With the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card, you can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for their participation. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare,
1 minute.
It's this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121.
What's up, everybody? It's Reese on the Radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
And we're back. Let's get into these phone calls real quick because I've already been on hold for such a long time. Let's get to Everett in East Hartford. Everett, thank you for holding. How you doing, sir?
Good. It's good to hear from you. You can tell I'm a big fan of yours. I've been on hold for quite some time.
I know, buddy. I know. Go on. What you got going on?
Well, it was your conversation with Tim.
Yes.
When it comes to this healthcare, again, I'm not a compassionate person.
Sure.
But as far as medical care being a right, that's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
The Constitution guarantees natural rights. In other words, if you're living off the grid, a squirrel doesn't have insurance, a bird doesn't have insurance. It's not a natural right.
Correct.
In other words, somebody has to produce some type of labor or skill in order for that service to actually exist.
Correct.
So therefore, everybody should be compensated for what they do. Again, I started out cleaning toilets, moving manure with a shovel. I've had those low-paying jobs. But as I educated myself and I worked hard, I got there on time. I showed initiative. I was trying to improve myself while I was employed. So I got better and I got a good name. So I was able to move forward.
I mean, there's no other way.
Grow in my knowledge. I give that knowledge to other people, and I use it for my services to give you a quality service. So if you have a heating issue or a plumbing issue, I'm going to come there with all my experience and all my knowledge. And that is like a college education. I need to be compensated for my knowledge, my wisdom, my hard work that I put into this education.
Exactly. It would be something different.
You're paying for my education.
It would be something different, if it was something that you could just get, like, come out of high school with a medical degree, right? It's like it was, his education was provided for him by the state. He learns to be a doctor out of high school, and next thing you know, Doogie Howser's in the operating room. That would be the great case, man, if we could get it that way, but that isn't the case. And it's nonsense to suggest that someone who puts all of that, people talk about sweat equity, but he just put financial burdens on himself and educational burdens on himself and went through all of that to join what's called an industry. And that's what it is. And you're right. It's not a natural right. But again, what he fails to do, and I think the whole thing with Tim was he refuses to suggest. He could talk about when you say the CEOs are making millions of dollars, you demonize the industry, because guess what? Those guys who are making millions of dollars, by demonizing them, you get to demonize the whole bunch, right? The practitioners, the doctors, the people on the ground level. Why? Because the CEOs making billions of dollars.
What about the other side of the coin, the people that never actually took initiative, the people that don't even want to get up out of bed in the morning?
There you go.
The people that have given up on the world and on themselves. You can only lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. You cannot save the planet.
That's what I said.
You can't.
That's what I said. People have the means to be healthy and to do, except for those who have, again, if you're born with sickle cell, that's a different scenario. There are other things, of course, mitigating factors in that, but that's not everybody in the entire country. But thank you, Everett. I appreciate you holding on. Let's get to Mike in Plainville. Hello, Mike. You're on with Reese on the Radio.
I'll tell you what, I'm a lot like Everett. I mean, I really haven't gotten tired of working.
Uh-huh.
And when you talk about doctors and the cost of medical care, you know what? There's a lot of people out there that just give up. They don't take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's basic. Everything is basic in this world. Get a good night's sleep. Get up. Eat halfway decent. Go to work. And if you don't work, find something to do. I mean, people make things more complicated in our society than it needs to be.
Hey, look, you know what? I put it to you this way, Mike. I'm getting older now, and I keep saying to myself, you know what? I'm not getting any younger, and I'm in pretty good shape for a 55-year-old guy. I know that's not going to be the case for 5 years unless I do something now. I got to maintain a healthy diet. I got to maintain exercise. It may not work out for me. I may develop, something, that's quite possible. It could be dormant in me all of these years and then develop later. But at least I got to head it off at the pass by making sure that I'm living healthy already.
I've got almost 15 years on you, and if I as soon as I wake up, I can't stay in the house even weekends. I feel confined. I have to get out.
That's right. I love it.
Tell you what, that's why that $2,200 per month. What is it, an apartment at Avon Old Farms?
Yeah. Would you do it?
Nah, not in Avon. There's not enough to do around there. What are you
going
to do?
I'll admit, it's not a lot to do. But me, I'm a walkie-talkie guy. So, to be honest with you, I don't want the hustle and bustle of all the busyness. So for me, it's perfect.
The best hotel that we ever stayed in was in Boston at the Four Seasons Hotel. We went up my wife won a recognition award from Allstate Insurance. We got to see the Detroit Pistons in the Celtics game in the playoffs.
Oh, no doubt. Okay.
I forget what year it was. Was it 95 or 96? I forget. It was in the month of May, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you what, the hotel had everything.
I like a hotel with everything. It's almost like a little city inside the hotel. You don't even have to go anywhere. Thank you, Mike. Let's go to Jeff in Marlboro. Hello, Jeff. You're on to Reese on the Radio.
Hey, Reese, you there?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Okay, good. So just real quick, I wanted to mention two things. Yeah, I don't usually disagree with you too much, but
okay.
The healthcare thing, the healthcare thing, the prices are way out of whack because everything from the bottom up costs more money now. I make a lot of parts for centrifuges,
Okay.
medical centrifuges, and I mean, this is one of like 100 and something components that go into a medical centrifuge, and it alone costs $25. So from the bottom up.
So you're saying there's a markup. There's a markup beyond where you are. The markup happens thereafter.
Yeah, and the markup is exponential. It's huge, and just making that one product alone, when you finally get the finished product, you got 3, 4, 5 different vendors who've contributed to your product, and then the end result, it costs a ton of money. Plus, when you and I were younger, we're only about 10 years apart. When you used to go to the doctor would come in, take your blood pressure, do this, do that, the other thing.
Yeah.
Now they got doctors, they got nurses.
Yeah,
they
nurse
got,
practitioners.
Nurse practitioners. They got specialized phlebotomists, consultants, and this and that and the other thing. And you're paying for all of that. It's way out of whack. Number 2. I got to get to number 2. I don't have an email currently, so I was wondering if you could put me on hold with Roland. I could get you promised me a T-shirt the other night, but I can't do email.
Don't worry about it. Stay on the line. We'll get an address for you, and I will make sure I get it to you. Okay? I'm
gonna wear that T-shirt to work, and we're gonna talk about it.
You got it. You got it. Fred is in Middletown. Let's go to Fred. Hi, Fred. You're on with Reese on the Radio. Fred, you there? I think.
Hey.
Fred, you there?
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, what's up, buddy? You're on Reese on the Radio. How are you, sir?
Yeah. So let me slap a few words together. Medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. Hospitals tend to be evil places. And that medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex is comparable to the Pentagon. Like a hospital is to a doctor, kind of like what Walmart is to the local hardware store. And as long as 10 or 15 years ago, some people, their doctor was going to have to, like, if you wanted to deal with him, you'd have to go through the hospital. So he's like, listen, so we'll set up a thing on the side here so you won't have to see me through the hospital. And then, of course, good luck the doctor you see through the hospital telling you don't need to get, an experimental pharmaceutical product injection. So the whole who pays for this evil so-called healthcare is almost like fairies on the head of a pin, closing with nothing so lucrative as a sick child.
You know what? I love that. Someone said that the other day, and I have a feeling it was Robert F. Kennedy, but yeah, nothing more lucrative than a sick child, right?
Probably him.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard it, but it's bouncing around. He probably spat it.
Yeah.
Walter Winchell, his friend Damon Runyon was dying of cancer back in the 50s. And Walter Winchell, who did the Untouchables there, he put out a pitch to raise money for cancer research. He asked for $80,000. $800,000 came in.
Wow.
There it was. Cancer research was born on that day.
Wow.
And will never die.
Yep, indeed. Thank you so much, Fred. Let me get to Lori in Glastonbury. Hey, Lori, how are you? Lori's still there? What's up with everybody's phones today? Lori, you still there?
Yeah,
hey, there she is. Hey, Lori.
There I am. Hi. Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Would you take your kids and stay at the Avon Old Farms Hotel?
So, can I just kind of tip in on this whole?
Of course. The healthcare thing? Sure.
The whole healthcare thing. I mean, I think that obviously it's definitely that whole industrial complex, and I think one of the pieces of evidence for it is that the whole transing issue. You've got a patient for life. If you can convince somebody to trans, then you've got a patient for life from thousands and thousands and potentially millions of dollars. But the problem with demonizing those who are industrious is that no one will create anything, and no one will create an industry. And so then where would we be? So don't demonize it, because that's the bigger problem.
Right,
but,
and I think that
the corruption definitely goes deep.
Right.
And I think that, I'll give you a conspiracy theory. I think connected.
You're 100% right, and it's true. You can't look at everyone at the top and then not understand that the people at the bottom have nothing to do with that. Because, again, no one is regulating the people at the top who are making the billions of dollars, as it were. What they wish to regulate are in essence, the people who are on the ground floor. And it is the doctors, the physicians, the RNs, those people working on the ground floor, plus the equipment that they use and they need. Some hospitals don't have state-of-the-art equipment because the hospital can't afford it. So looking at this whole thing in a whole cloth way can be detrimental to the hospital and the care it gives in certain areas. I'll never forget when the hospital that my son was born in, St. Vincent's Hospital in Manhattan on 14th Street, when it closed down, 12th Street, but when it closed down, it affected the entire community in a way that was unheard of. St. Vincent's Hospital was one of the main hospitals that people went to from the World Trade Center. That was one of the arteries that people were giving blood donations to. So to see St. Vincent's, go under after September 11th, people in the community in Greenwich Village were devastated that they lost that hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane again, but all of that made. Again, it made no sense, but no one seemed to care when all of those doctors and all of those physicians were out of a job. But, what is it? C'est la vie, as they say. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate you. As always. Joe, I promise you, we got to get out of here, Joe. I promise you, I'll give you first dibs tomorrow on the show because we got to get out of here soon. But we'll be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll do, what do you call it? Blah, blah, blah. 5 o'clock focus again on this Avon thing. We'll get some more details. Maybe I'll even see if we can get this young lady on the phone to talk about what's going on over at Avon Farms, or maybe somebody over at Avon Farms, the Old Farm Hotel, to see if they can give us some info on this. All right, but as I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the Radio. Don't forget to always go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's ReeseOnTheRadio.com. You can always catch the Sunday show there if you can't catch it live here on WTIC. You can go there and do that. Tomorrow, more news, more views, and we will also get into this truancy story involved with Kamala Harris and the media's sort of trying to sort of change the script on the truancy scandal that happened in California with Kamala Harris. But for now, let's get to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. Mark, good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Reese, you too. Have a great night. If you're heading into Hartford right now, southbound.
You're all clear.
For delays.
Thank
10
you.
by 33 Jennings Road, another bump.
No problem. Good show. Talk to you next week.
You got it, man. See you guys.
On the Weathersfield Rocky Hill line. Looks real good. 91 northbound now from Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound side of 84 slows approaching the Bulkley Bridge out to 45 Flatbush Avenue. 84 eastbound, you got delays about a half mile before 46th Avenue into the tunnel east of the river. Moving well now. 291 eastbound, a little slow as you move up on the Bissell Bridge, moving from Windsor into South Windsor. 2 westbound, tapping the brakes as you merge to the 84 West and East Hartford. Quiet.
There we go. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. And I will see you guys mañana. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I love you guys. Bye.